Hey, it's me here, Miriam, and I'll be taking you through how to build your consultancy practices. You do not have to start a company. You do not have to start a consulting firm. Probably where you are, you just want clarity on how do I start practicing as an environmental expert? How will I do an EIA? Probably you're already somewhere where you want to just know how to conduct environmental impact assessment so that you can do this on the side. So I totally understand. And you're in the right place if you're one of these people. One, probably you are a new and aspiring environmental expert. You are a recent graduate. You graduated and you now don't know what to do with your environmental degree. You already trained as an EIA expert, but you don't know how to get your clients, don't know how to get started. You're in the right place. Another person who is in the right place is if you're already practicing. Some of us already started and then at some point they did not understand it. It was not paying, and so they left and moved on to another industry or to do the thing. But still you would want to come back and maybe do this on the side. It is a good gig to have an EIA to do over the weekend when you're not working. So maybe you're practicing, you did 10 projects, 5 projects, maybe you did a project under somebody, but you want to do this on your own. So you're also at the right place. And regardless of which group you belong to, some of the things are very, very clear and are true. And one of them, you feel like time is running out. And this is a normal human being feeling. We all calculate the number of years that have passed by since we graduated, because you're hoping after graduation you get a job. The jobs are not coming through. So you feel like you're getting older and time is running out. But is it really running out? Two, you feel, or we all know that here in Africa mainly, our families depend on us. Our parents, if you are millennial like me and above, took us to school so that we can come back and help the family, come back and help them. We are like an investment plan to our parents. So you either have your nuclear family, you have a wife, you have a husband, you have children that you need to pay school fees, you need to pay to feed, pay bills. Maybe you have your siblings, sisters, brothers, cousins, parents. Maybe it's even the extended family that you need to help out. So your family is counting on you and you're still not making money and don't even know how to do that. Number 3, maybe you still do not have a clear career path. And this is very, very, very disturbing, because we want, as human beings, we want some assurity that we know the direction we are following. So you have a degree, you graduated, your grandmother is already asking, so what will you do with this degree? And the theory that you learned in school or what you have been reading online and Googling and watching videos, those theories don't pay bills. You would want some practical, actionable information that you can apply to help you pay bills immediately. Number 4, doors keep closing. You apply jobs. The other day, I was on LinkedIn and there are so many graduate programs that are now opening up for January to continue in 2026. And the time they are going to limit that. They want people who are 25 years and below. They want people who graduated after 2023. And you graduated in 2020 and you start to feel that pressure. You start to feel like doors are now closing. They want people who have graduated in the last 3 years. They want people who are a certain age and below, and now you're past that gap and doors are starting to close out on you. And the older you get, you don't know how to get back into beginner positions. Number 5, you watch others succeed. This one is a major one. You went to school with people, your classmates are doing so good. In this day and era of internet, they are taking trips to Dubai. They are taking work trips to South Africa. They are taking work trips to the US and so on. They are buying property. They are being promoted. But for you, you still have not started. Not even starting, you don't even know how to start. You're still struggling. And that kills something inside of you every time. We shall address that. Number 6 of something that I'm sure is happening is that income insecurity is something that disturbs us as a human being. Our brains want stability and security to be guaranteed. And without a sustainable income, then we can never, even our nervous system can never rest, because we are always feeling like there's a threat out there. So month to month uncertainties, you know you are capable, but the money is just not coming in. Now, you're sick and tired of joining free masterclasses. This is not the first time that you're joining. You have watched webinars, you have watched videos, you have binged watched my YouTube content, but you still something doesn't click and you can't figure it out. Then by the end of this training, I hope and purpose to ensure that you fully understand that thing, that clicking will finally click. You know, that math will finally math. And let me talk about myself for a minute, So my name is Miriam. I am sure you know me by now. And I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Science with Information Technology, IT. And I was very lucky, I call it luck, to have gotten an opportunity to work at a NEMA office. NEMA is the National Environment Management Authority here in Kenya, in a county office, and that is in Nyeri County. So NEMA has county offices that serve the entire county. So each county here in Kenya has a NEMA office. Nyeri is one of the busiest offices. And I was so lucky to be able to get an opportunity there as an environmental assistant. And in that office, I got to be mentored, I got to learn, I got the exposure, I got everything that I would pray for. I thank God for the officers who were my mentors. They are like big brothers to me. And they, wow, God bless them. Then later, after 2 years, I was like, you know what? I got this. I have figured it out. And I'm like, now I need to let this opportunity come to somebody else, because now the position was starting to become redundant. I had learned, I had gotten the skill, the information, the wisdom, the knowledge. I now needed to practice what I had learned. And I had made connections here and there. And I had the confidence and the encouragement of the officers whom we had worked with. They believed in me. They saw the potential in me. And they also encouraged me to skip out, to jump out and go all in, because that was the vision that I had. And in 2020, I did that. But COVID came in, but I thank God that we survived. In fact, 2020 was like one of my best years, somehow, So I jumped out to now go out and practice as an environmental expert full time. So since then, my full-time job has been to do environmental impact assessments and environmental audits. And I can say by now, I have done over 100 environmental impact assessments and environmental audits. I have done projects in so many sectors. That again, I say is luck or it's privilege. I have been able to do EIs for hospitals, for roads, for water irrigation projects, community projects, government projects, county government projects, mining projects, major mining projects, and I have done them all. Petrol station, petroleum industry, and so on. I have worked, of course, for individuals, private developers, companies, institutions, and even the county governments. I've worked with them to develop environmental policies for them. Like recently, I was heading a team where I spearheaded the team to conduct a state of environment report for a county government. That's a big deal. And also develop the county environmental action plan that they will use for the next 5 years. So those are some of the things that I have been exposed to. And so I think I'm saying this to say that truly, having been in the industry, I have been able to pick one or two wisdoms that might help you out or give you an insight. That is, I'm trying to justify this for you. And so then I believe I am positioned to help you out. As I have also created content a lot here on social media, I have gotten inquiries and questions always. Some of these inquiries that I get are, for example, hello, no, I do not market my services on social media. I mostly just use referrals. I would say my biggest challenge is having a consistent number of clients. Would love to know the results of the survey. That is a survey I had done some time back. Another one was like, thank you for so much for accepting my connection. I'm humble. It's a pleasure to meet an industry icon like you. I am a qualified environmental scientist, currently open and willing to learn as far as the field is concerned. I really believe I can learn a lot from you. At the moment, I am still trying to navigate through the environmental field with little success. As such, I would really wish to seek your indulgences in that you can give me pointers on how best to navigate the industry and make something out of myself. Thank you very much. Somebody else said, I am glad we connected. Your content is really helpful. I'm looking into starting a consulting firm, but I'm not sure if it is the right thing to do since I do not get frequent clients. Kindly share your insight with me. I'll highly appreciate. Thank you. Another one said, I studied environmental management and graduated 3 years ago. What in your opinion, is the way to gain experience and build up my CV for possible jobs? Somebody says, hey Mokami, thanks for the good work you are doing. Can I ask you a question? I am an environmental student and I would like to be an environmental expert practitioner. How can I go about this? As what are the requirements? Somebody else said, hey Mokami, I was asking if one registers as associate, where does he or she get these projects? Now, those are the inquiries I get every now and then, just a few. And by the end of this training, I will give you also a bonus where I will introduce you to an opportunity that I'm working on, where I am introducing a mentorship program for most of you who are actually and only serious. So I think at this particular point, we can kick it in and get started with the first module. And the first module, we're going to look at the realities of the environmental job market. Let's look at what exactly does this industry look like. I want to make a disclaimer. This industry is super wide, super big. If you did environment in school, then you have an idea that everything in this world is part of environment. There is land, forestry, water, air, mine. Everything has an aspect or is an aspect of the environment. Right now, we have so many things that you can do. There is sustainability, there is the ESGs, there is the carbon market, there is the EIAs, there is almost everything you can think of right now. So, I can only be able to guide you through the industry or the section of the industry that I have been able and have operated in and have found success in. So even before we continue, if you are somebody who wants to only exclusively work as a climate change consultant, so that if a community has a project that they want to sell carbon credits and they do not know the dynamics of setting up the carbon credits, the dynamic of the carbon market, they come to you. I will not be the best mentor in that industry. But if you're looking to do environmental impact assessments and environmental audits, then I'm the right person for you. So that is more of a disclaimer to say that this training is very much subjected or exclusively for people who want to understand the environmental impact assessment and environmental audit part of the industry. Well, the principles of consulting apply everywhere, but there are specific things that you will need, some specific knowledge and wisdom you will need to be an ESG expert. Same as somebody who is fully specialized in sustainability, somebody else who is fully specialized in EIA. So let's say I am fully specialized in environmental impact assessment. But of course, these are the industries I understand and I offer my insight and my knowledge. But my specialty is in EIA. I hope that is now clear so that we do not get confused moving on. So when I refer to EIA, it doesn't mean that you're excluded if you're in the carbon industry, okay? We are in the same industry. So the first module, like we have said, we'll be looking at the market reality. Kenya alone is producing over 5,000 environmental graduates every year. And only about 20% of these get into the industry. A large number is left out in the market and is not able to be absorbed up by the market, especially through employment. However, if you look at data, you will realize that this environmental industry is growing every other day. But most graduates are still waiting to be employed. And because most industries, most employers do not necessarily want to employ you full-time, if you sit and wait for a full-time employment, you may be disappointed. Reason being, assuming you want to work in the road industry, so you work with contractors who are doing roads. They do not necessarily want to employ you full-time. They may have one or two for different projects overall, but they want to employ you on project basis. So they have a road project, they contract you to do the EIA. And then they have their internal person who deals with the environmental monitoring for the EIA. So then the question is, because the market may not be able to absorb you today, will you still continue sitting? If you're in the 80% that has not gotten the job, you sit and still wait for the job or for the market to give you a job. There is so much that is happening. We are in a developing continent. So do you necessarily think EIAs or the demand for the EIA services will increase or decrease over time? Keeping in mind our industry is really, all our nation and our continent is in a phase where it is developing. So with the new developments, everybody is going to be very careful on issues environment, and you're still there waiting for a job instead of waiting or instead of moving on and getting yourself an opportunity or creating an opportunity for yourself. So what is happening here? One reason why most people are still waiting for jobs instead of moving and positioning themselves for work is that skills and capacity gaps exist for real. Most graduates are lacking hand-on skills that can help them produce high quality EIA reports. This is something that I've experienced personally. You get somebody to help you with report writing when I'm overwhelmed, and they are far from bare minimum. Because what our lecturers taught us in class is very, very, it's not even they say the tip of an iceberg is not even the tip. So the reports or the knowledge gap, the skill gap is actually real. Many graduates have environmental degrees and they do not know now how to bridge that knowledge that they got the theory into actually work, into actually skills that can produce good EIA reports. Because as an EIA consultant, that is what you do. full time, writing those reports for your clients. Again, we have the quality and compliance risk happening to so many people, where you have found in the recent past there has been so many EIs that have been rejected by NEMA for various reasons. If you go to the environmental court or to the website and look for court cases and the judgments, you will find there are so many of them that are happening across the country, where either the community is suing the developer is suing NEMA is being sued, and so on. So there is so much that is happening. With weak scooping, when you went out to do an EI for your client, you left out some things, some details. There was poor public participation. There was missing data and information. And so you find that there's this vibe where the quality of work that has been produced in the past has been bad, NEMA has been rejecting, and so because they feel like the skill of the experts is low, the quality of reports that experts are producing is low, they tighten the requirements, they tighten their strictness. And so as that happens, also remember the clients are already watching, and if you do a report for a client, you don't deliver on it, it has issues that are, a project can be delayed because of issues that are out of your control as a consultant. But if NEMA delays a client's project because of your expert problems, then even the client takes notice and they start feeling like you're not an expert, and that goes away with your confidence also. Again, there is high competition and low differentiation. Everybody is graduating, but few people are standing out. Anybody can do an EI report, but then how well are those reports? How knowledgeable are you? How skilled are you? How specialized are you? There is no differentiation. Everybody is copying everyone else's report. Unclear path to consultancy income. Many professionals do not know how to turn their degree into income. They lack business skills, or even on issues like pricing, client acquisition, proposal writing, and even struggle to find real opportunities. That is so true. Then again, another thing that is happening in the industry is that there is rapid changing regulatory environment. Things are changing. The way EIS reports I did them, or how we used to do them when I left for full-time, when I started this full-time in 2020, is different from the way we are doing them today. Things are changing. They are even about to change. As I record this video, there is a motion, I like to call it a bill, that is being prepared, that is in the stage of public participation, that is going to tighten even more and to change a lot of dynamics in environmental impact assessment industry. So if you're not keeping up, if you're still doing the reports that we did in 2019, you'll be left out. So many practitioners risk becoming outdated without structured mentorship, because if you do not know what is happening, how will you even get the confidence to talk and advise your client? Then there is issues of credibility and trust issues. Our industry has several or so many quacks and unqualified experts who are actually taking the money from the clients, and they are destroying the credibility of this industry. They are producing low quality reports. They go on the website, they pick a report, and they just copy and paste. These quacks do not even have licenses. They use the license of somebody else who does not also take responsibility of the work that is being produced in their name. And so today, because of that, you have to go the extra mile of proving credibility, to go above and beyond the noise that is in the industry. To win mandates today, experts must prove competency, ethics, and reliability, especially reliabilities in these industries. Environmental practitioners, especially if you're starting out, know some theory, but they lack a structured fast track pathway to become credible, high-value EIA consultant who can, one, win contracts with clients and also deliver a full cycle assessment, as well as command decent fees, because we are in the marketplace, we're selling our skill, our knowledge, and we deserve a decent market fee. So, are you one of those people who are stuck? You have the theory, but you lack a structured fast track pathway that can make you credible, high value, produce high value EIA reports, so that you are also confident enough as an environmental consultant. Are you able to win contracts? Are you able to win clients? Are you able to deliver to your clients and make them happy? Are you paid? Are you paid? Do your clients pay you, or they just pay the cost of doing the report? Do you make profits? So this is how the system works. With all those things that you need to know about the system, the 6 of them, here is how the system works. And this is a general one for everybody, wherever you come from. The first one is that we have NEMA. NEMA regulates the license, regulates the and licenses the EIA reports. It also regulates the environmental audits, as well as it also licenses the expert. NEMA, in other countries it is REMA, like in Rwanda it is REMA, or in whichever country you come from, the environmental authority is the one that is in charge of ensuring that environment is utilized sustainably. Then another player in this system is the client or the developers. If you are working for developers, then this is also another player in the industry. These ones are the people who need these licenses that you will deliver. Then we have consultants, that is me and you and our colleagues, competitors, and so on. They are associate experts, we have lead experts, we have those who are in farm of experts. So if you are starting out here in Kenya, particularly, if you're starting out, you register as an associate expert. You practice for 8 years. After 8 years, you register as a lead expert. So you out of school, you register as an associate expert. You work as an associate for 8 years. But if you have a master's degree, you work for 5. After that, you apply to become a lead expert. Then you work as a lead expert. And remember, everybody has their responsibilities. Then there is another group that is called firm of experts. This is why you have several experts who come together, at least one lead expert, at least one associate expert, and you register a company with NEMA as a firm of experts. So you can fall in any of the categories. All right. So those are the players that are recognized by NEMA. So you do not have the authority to go out and conduct an environmental audit, an environmental impact assessment, if you do not belong to either of these. Then we have the approvals. The approvals is the different kind of licenses that different businesses are usually given, and these licenses are issued by NEMA. So the approvals, the licenses, the permits are different, and you need to know them. So here in Kenya, we have the environmental impact assessment licenses. Soon we are going to have environmental audit permits. We are going to have the effluent discharge licenses, plastic clearance licenses, waste transport licenses, waste disposal licenses, air emission licenses. We have quite a number of environmental permits and licenses. So you need to understand all these things. Then we go back a little. This is where we say once upon a time. Because the question is, where does this come from? What backs this? You see, the thing about me is like I love depth. If I'm going to stick my life in this industry, I need to know that it is not going away tomorrow and it has come from somewhere and that it is an ethical thing that I am doing. Because being an ethical person is part of my principal values. And so I have had to search at the history, the origin of my industry, to understand the origin of my services, to understand what backs up these services. And I want to take you through that section. So this section is going to help you and understand and it gives you context of this industry. So the birth of environmental services. So we go back to where all this began. So in the beginning, in the middle of 1960s, there was a heightened awareness of environmental degradation and many decisions were being taken at global levels, okay, in such fields as industrial development, environment, and so on. Particularly in 1965, there was the establishment of the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, and its headquarters was in Vienna, that is in Austria. Later on, in 1972, UNEP was born, and this is as the UN organ that deals with the environment, and its headquarters is proudly in Nairobi, Kenya. It's up here in Gigiri, and so we say we are proud of that. But then, in the same 1972, there was a conference that was called. Now, a conference is where we had all nations who are member coming together. And this is called the Stockholm Declaration. I'm not going to go into depth with these things because I am sure you touched them somewhere in school. If you didn't, they are online. Go and search them because you need to understand the history of what you're doing. So in 1972, there was the convention or the meeting that led to the Stockholm Declaration. This declaration of the United Nations Conference on Human Environment, some of the things that were submitted and agreed on by all nations that were attending was, 1, man is both creature and molder of his environment, which gives him physical substance and affords him the opportunity for intellectual, moral, social, and spiritual growth. In this declaration, we have 26 principles that were agreed on, and the aim was to help nations or to guide nations or to act as principles to guide how nations use the environment. Now, after that, we had a 10 years anniversary, and the 10-year anniversary party was being done here in Nairobi. And that party, of course, there were some resolutions that were made, and those resolutions is what is called the Nairobi Declaration. So in 1982, when now the world was celebrating the 10th anniversary of the first declaration, which was Stockholm, several discoveries on the implementation. Remember, in the Stockholm Declaration, there are things that nations needed to go and implement. And so they are reporting back. And some of the things that we are presented is that there had been challenges in implementation. There were new challenges that came up and so on. But some of the discoveries was, 1, during the last decade, new perceptions have emerged. These I am quoting directly from the report. The need for environmental management and assessment, the intimate and complex interrelationship between the environment, particularly in urban areas, by increasing population have become widely recognized. A comprehensive and regional integration approach that emphasizes this relationship can lead to environmental sound and sustainable socio-economic development. So those are some of the discoveries that we are being made, or some of the conclusions that we are being reached at after they had assessed how the 10 years had been. Finally, the World Community of States, those that were party, had come to the party, agreed that they need to commit or to recommit or to reaffirm their commitment to the Stockholm Declaration and the Action Plan. So 10 years, they have seen how far they have come, the challenges that have been observed, and so on. So they decide, let us continue implementing the declarations and the action plans that we said we will do 10 years ago during the Stockholm conference. So that was the Nairobi Declaration. After 10 years again, there was another anniversary. That is in 1992. Now this one happened in Rio de Janeiro. And during this conference, there were 27 principles that were now established again. Now remember, at this point, they had 20 years of implementing the Stockholm principles. So they came up now after 20 years. The pictures are clear because they met at 10 years. They saw what was happening, the challenges, and they decided to move on. One of the principles was principle number 1, actually. Human beings are at the center of concern for sustainable development. They are entitled to a healthy and productive life in harmony with nature. Another principle, like principle number 16, says national authorities should endeavor to promote the internalization of environmental costs and the use of economic instruments, taking into account the approach that the population should, in principle, the polluter should, in principle, bear the cost of pollution with due regard to public interest and without distorting international trade and investment. You see what they are doing there? They're talking about national authorities. In the 20 years since UNEP was developed, one of the mandate or the function was to ensure that each nation has a body, an office that deals with environment in every nation. So now they're talking about nations should now start going after the polluters. Principle 17 says environmental impact assessment as a national instrument shall be undertaken for proposed activities that are likely to have a significant adverse impact on the environment and are subject to a decision of a competent authority. So it is during this convention that some of the principles they are talking about that will guide the development in the next 10 years is that we need to have environmental impact assessments. This is a worldwide conference. This is a principle that has been agreed on and has action plan that back it up. Principle number 17 of the Rio Declaration. Now, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Are you hearing what I'm hearing? EIA is not something that started when your nation formed the environmental office. It is backed globally. It is something that is demanded globally. I am loving this. Are you? Then there was now the birth of environmental laws, because we have principles, and so we have to actualize these principles. So how do we do them? We start forming laws and regulation. So since then, the UN member states, with the help of UNEP, of course, now which is the United Nations Environmental Program, has already helped in helping nations to localize laws and regulations regarding the environment, so that they can be able to hit the goals that the world has decided to follow or to move forward with. Here in Kenya, that is where we have the development of the environmental law that is called the Environment Management and Coordination Act that came into force in 1999. So we call it EMCA of 1999. So now we have come from having just the world deciding on the principles that should govern or run the world. Now we have come down to national level. Before here, Kenya or the nation is just running under things. So there is laws on fishery, there is laws on ocean, but there is not a specific law that talks about the environment. And now, after the Rio Declaration, there is the issue of impact. If you go back to that slide, you see that principle 17 of the Rio Declaration says the environmental impact assessment is a national instrument and should be undertaken to all proposed activities, okay? And these EIAs are subject to decisions of a competent authority. So we have to have a specific authority that is competent to ensure environmental impact assessments are done for projects. So then, where does such an authority come from? It has to be backed up by the law. And here in Kenya now we have the MCA 1999. So in MCA, today it's CAP 386 because there has been several amendments, is the mother of environmental laws and regulations in Kenya. I am sure we have these in your country. Maybe you can tell me down in your country what is the name of this law. It is the principal law. Principle, okay? So it serves as a bedrock for environmental registrations in Kenya. And also, principle means it's the highest. So any other law on environment have to consider what this principle law says. And it includes several things and so many other things, and we shall not get into depth with that. But one thing that we will need to see and understand is that now this environmental law gives the right to the creation of the authority that Principle 17 of the Rio Declaration said. And that is the birth of the National Environment Management Authority. So in this law, in Section 7, it states there is established an authority to be known as the National Environment Management Authority. And its mandate is to be the principal instrument of government on the implementation of all policies relating to the environment. So now here in Kenya, this happened in 2002. That is when the NEMA was formed. So now in Kenya, we have NEMA as the competent authority to be able to make decisions on EIA as required in the Rio Declaration. I believe you're following. Section 99 of this MCA, it says outlines the objective and function of the authority. It states the objective and purpose for which the authority is established is to exercise general supervision and coordination of all matters that relate to the environment. It is also to be the principal instrument of government when it comes to implementation of environmental laws and regulations, as well as any policy that is related to the environment. So any policy that talks about the environment, NEMA is the one that implements. Here in Kenya, we have seen it implementing issues on plastic papers, on EIAs, on river pollution, and so many other things. Okay? So those are the main mandates of NEMA. So how is NEMA going to be able to implement, or how is it going to do the function it has been given by the national law, which is the national instrument? You know what it did? It gave, now when NEMA was formed, it sat down and looked at what MCA is the principal law. So MCA has said several things that needs to be done on pollution, on conservation, on environmental impact assessment, on the restoration of the environment, on several things. So NEMA has been formed, and it is supposed to implement environmental policies. So it is supposed to ensure that MCA is implemented. So how will they ensure that an MCA is implemented? They had to sit down and form regulations and guidelines and standards. So they sat down and developed a regulation on EIAs. They sat down and developed a regulation on water They sat down and developed a regulation on air pollution. They sat down and developed a regulation on waste, on all these ones. Then they developed guidelines. Asbestos guideline. How should we handle asbestos as a country? Then they formed standards. So if you're going to discharge water into the environment, what are the standards that it must meet? If you're going to supply water as drinking water, what is the standard that it has to meet? Now, all those are things that NEMA developed. And so one of them was a regulation that guided how EIAs are to be done in Kenya. So in Rwanda, it had to develop a regulation on how EIA is done in Rwanda. The same as South Africa, the same as all other UN nations. Then there is issues of credibility and trust issues. Our industry has several or so many quacks and unqualified experts who are actually taking the money from the clients, and they are destroying the credibility of this industry. They are producing low quality reports. They go on the website, they pick a report, and they just copy and paste. These quacks do not even have licenses. They use the license of somebody else who does not also take responsibility of the work that is being produced in their name. And so today, because of that, you have to go the extra mile of proving credibility, to go above and beyond the noise that is in the industry. To win mandates today, experts must prove competency, ethics, and reliability, especially reliabilities in these industries. Environmental practitioners, especially if you're starting out, know some theory, but they lack a structured fast-track pathway to become credible, high-value EIA consultant who can, one, win contracts with clients and also deliver a full cycle assessment, as well as command decent fees, because we are in the marketplace, we're selling our skill, our knowledge, and we deserve a decent market fee. So, are you one of those people who are stuck? You have the theory, but you lack a structured fast-track pathway that can make you credible, high-value, produce high-value EIA reports, so that you are also confident enough as an environmental consultant. Are you able to win contracts? Are you able to win clients? Are you able to deliver to your clients and make them happy? Are you paid? Are you paid? Do your clients pay you, or they just pay the cost of doing the report? Do you make profits? So this is how the system works. With all those things that you need to know about the system, the 6 of them, here's how the system works. And this is a general one for everybody, wherever you come from. The first one is that we have NEMA. NEMA regulates the license, regulates the and licenses the EIA reports. It also regulates the environmental audits, as well as it also licenses the expert. NEMA, in other countries it is REMA, like in Rwanda it is REMA, or in whichever country you come from, the environmental authority is the one that is in charge of ensuring that environment is utilized sustainably. Then another player in this system is the client or the developers. If you are working for developers, then this is also another player in the industry. These ones are the people who need these licenses that you will deliver. Then we have consultants, that is me and you and our colleagues, competitors, and so on. They are associate experts, we have lead experts, we have those who are in firm of experts. So if you are starting out here in Kenya, particularly, if you are starting out, you register as an associate expert. You practice for 8 years. After 8 years, you register as a lead expert. So you out of school, you register as an associate expert. You work as an associate for 8 years. But if you have a master's degree, you work for 5. After that, you apply to become a lead expert. Then you work as a lead expert. And remember, everybody has their responsibilities. Then there is another group that is called firm of experts. This is why you have several experts who come together, at least one lead expert, at least one associate expert, and you register a company with NEMA as a firm of experts. So you can fall in any of the categories. All right. So those are the players that are recognized by NEMA. So you do not have the authority to go out and conduct an environmental audit, an environmental impact assessment, if you do not belong to either of these. Then we have the approvals. The approvals is the different kind of licenses that different businesses are usually given, and these licenses are issued by NEMA. So the approvals, the licenses, the permits are different, and you need to know them. So here in Kenya, we have the environmental impact assessment licenses. Soon we are going to have environmental audit permits. We are going to have the effluent discharge licenses, plastic clearance licenses, waste transport licenses, waste disposal licenses, air emission licenses. We have quite a number of environmental permits and licenses. So you need to understand all these things. Then we go back a little. This is where we say once upon a time. Because the question is, where does this come from? What backs this? You see, the thing about me is like I love depth. If I'm going to stick my life in this industry, I need to know that it is not going away tomorrow, and it has come from somewhere, and that it is an ethical thing that I am doing. Because being an ethical person is part of my principal values. And so I have had to search at the history, the origin of my industry, to understand the origin of my services, to understand what backs up these services. And I want to take you through that section. So this section is going to help you and understand, and it gives you context of this industry. So the birth of environmental services. So we go back to where all this began. So in the beginning, in the middle of 1960s, there was a heightened awareness of environmental degradation, and many decisions were being taken at global levels, okay, in such fields as industrial development, environment, and so on. Particularly in 1965, there was the establishment of the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, and its headquarters was in Vienna, that is in Austria. Later on, in 1972, UNEP was born. And this is as the UN organ that deals with the environment. And its headquarters is proudly in Nairobi, Kenya. It's up here in Gigiri. And so we say we are proud of that. But then, in the same 1972, there was a conference that was called. Now, a conference is where we had all nations who are member coming together. And this is called the Stockholm Declaration. I'm not going to go into depth with these things because I am sure you touched them somewhere in school. If you didn't, they are online. Go and search them because you need to understand the history of what you're doing. So in 1972, there was the convention, or the meeting that led to the Stockholm Declaration. This declaration of the United Nations Conference on Human Environment, some of the things that were submitted and agreed on by all nations that were attending was: one, man is both creature and molder of his environment, which gives him physical substance and affords him the opportunity for intellectual, moral, social, and spiritual growth. In this declaration, we have 26 principles that were agreed on, and the aim was to help nations, or to guide nations, or to act as principles to guide how nations use the environment. Now, after that, we had a 10 years anniversary, and the 10-year anniversary party was being done here in Nairobi. And that party, of course, there were some resolutions that were made, and those resolutions is what is called the Nairobi Declaration. So in 1982, when now the world was celebrating the 10th anniversary of the first declaration, which was Stockholm, several discoveries on the implementation. Remember, in the Stockholm Declaration, there are things that nations needed to go and implement. And so they are reporting back. And some of the things that were presented is that there had been challenges in implementation, there were new challenges that came up, and so on. But some of the discoveries was: one, during the last decade, new perceptions have emerged. These I am quoting directly from the report. The need for environmental management and assessment, the intimate and complex interrelationship between the environment, particularly in urban areas, by increasing population, have become widely recognized. A comprehensive and regional integration approach that emphasizes this relationship can lead to environmental sound and sustainable socio-economic development. So those are some of the discoveries that were being made, or some of the conclusions that were being reached at after they had assessed how the 10 years had been. Finally, the world community of states, those that had come to the party, agreed that they need to commit, or to recommit, or to reaffirm their commitment to the Stockholm Declaration and the action plan. So 10 years, they have seen how far they have come, the challenges that have been observed, and so on. So they decide, let us continue implementing the declarations and the action plans that we said we will do 10 years ago during the Stockholm conference. So that was the Nairobi Declaration. After 10 years again, there was another anniversary. That is in 1992. Now this one happened in Rio de Janeiro. And during this conference, there were 27 principles that were now established again. Now remember, at this point, they had 20 years of implementing the Stockholm principles. So they came up now after 20 years. The pictures are clear because they met at 10 years. They saw what was happening, the challenges, and they decided to move on. One of the principles was principle number 1, actually. Human beings are at the center of concern for sustainable development. They are entitled to a healthy and productive life in harmony with nature. Another principle, like principle number 16, says national authorities should endeavor to promote the internalization of environmental costs and the use of economic instruments, taking into account the approach that the population should, in principle, the polluter should, in principle, bear the cost of pollution with due regard to public interest and without distorting international trade and investment. You see what they are doing there? They're talking about national authorities. In the 20 years since UNEP was developed, one of the mandate or the function was to ensure that each nation has a body, an office that deals with environment in every nation. So now they're talking about nations should now start going after the polluters. Principle 17 says environmental impact assessment as a national instrument shall be undertaken for proposed activities that are likely to have a significant adverse impact on the environment and are subject to a decision of a competent authority. So it is during this convention that some of the principles they are talking about that will guide the development in the next 10 years is that we need to have environmental impact assessments. This is a worldwide conference. This is a principle that has been agreed on and has action plan that back it up. Principle number 17 of the Rio Declaration. Now, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Are you hearing what I'm hearing? EIA is not something that started when your nation formed the environmental office. It is backed globally. It is something that is demanded globally. I am loving this. Are you? Then there was the birth of environmental laws, because we have principles, and so we have to actualize these principles. So how do we do them? We start forming laws and regulation. So since then, the UN member states, with the help of UNEP, of course, now which is the United Nations Environmental Program, has already helped in helping nations to localize laws and regulations regarding the environment, so that they can be able to hit the goals that the world has decided to follow or to move forward with. Here in Kenya, that is where we have the development of the environmental law that is called the Environment Management and Coordination Act that came into force in 1999. So we call it MCA of 1999. So now we have come from having just the world deciding on the principles that should govern or run the world. Now we have come down to national level. Before here, Kenya or the nation is just running under things. So there is laws on fishery, there is laws on ocean, but there is not a specific law that talks about the environment. And now, after the Rio Declaration, there is the issue of impact. If you go back to that slide, you see that Principle 17 of the Rio Declaration says the environmental impact assessment is a national instrument and should be undertaken to all proposed activities, okay? And these EIAs are subject to decisions of a competent authority. So we have to have a specific authority that is competent to ensure environmental impact assessments are done for projects. So then, where does such an authority come from? It has to be backed up by the law. And here in Kenya now we have the MCA 1999. So in MCA, today it's CAP 386 because there has been several amendments, is the mother of environmental laws and regulations in Kenya. I am sure we have these in your country. Maybe you can tell me down in your country what is the name of this law. It is the principal law. Principle, okay? So it serves as a bedrock for environmental registrations in Kenya. And also, principle means it's the highest. So any other law on environment have to consider what this principle law says. And it includes several things and so many other things, and we shall not get into depth with that. But one thing that we will need to see and understand is that now this environmental law gives the right to the creation of the authority that Principle 17 of the Rio Declaration said, and that is the birth of the National Environment Management Authority. So in this law, in section 7, it states there is established an authority to be known as the National Environment Management Authority. And its mandate is to be the principal instrument of government on the implementation of all policies relating to the environment. So now here in Kenya, this happened in 2002. That is when the NEMA was formed. So now in Kenya, we have NEMA as the competent authority to be able to make decisions on EIA as required in the Rio Declaration. I believe you're following. Section 99 of this MCA, it says the outlines the objective and function of the authority. It states the objective and purpose for which the authority is established is to exercise general supervision and coordination of all matters that relate to the environment. It is also to be the principal instrument of government when it comes to implementation of environmental laws and regulations, as well as any policy that is related to the environment. So any policy that talks about the environment, NEMA is the one that implements. Here in Kenya, we have seen it implementing issues on plastic papers, on EIAs, on river pollution, and so many other things. Okay? So those are the main mandates of NEMA. So how is NEMA going to be able to implement, or how is it going to do the function it has been given by the national law, which is the national instrument? You know what it did? It gave, now when NEMA was formed, it sat down and looked at what MCA is the principal law. So MCA has said several things that needs to be done on pollution, on conservation, on environmental impact assessment, on the restoration of the environment, on several things. So NEMA has been formed, and it is supposed to implement environmental policies. So it is supposed to ensure that MCA is implemented. So how will they ensure that an MCA is implemented? They had to sit down and form regulations and guidelines and standards. So they sat down and developed a regulation on EIAs. They sat down and developed a regulation on water. They sat down and developed a regulation on air pollution. They sat down and developed a regulation on waste, on all these ones. Then they developed guidelines. Asbestos guideline. How should we handle asbestos as a country? Then they formed standards. So if you're going to discharge water into the environment, what are the standards that it must meet? If you're going to supply water as drinking water, what is the standard that it has to meet? Now, all those are things that NEMA developed. And so one of them was a regulation that guided how EIAs are to be done in Kenya. So in Rwanda, it had to develop a regulation on how EIA is done in Rwanda. The same as South Africa, the same as all other UN nations. So at this point, can we now say that environmental impact assessment is a universal requirement? So if you are an environmental impact assessment expert, the skills that you have are universal. Hi, how are you doing? We meet again in Module 2. So for those of us who skipped Module 1 and came straight to Module 2, hi, we meet again, right? How have you been? We have been going through Module 1, we have gone into depth, and we have enjoyed. So if you're here and you have gone through the Module 1, please tell those who skipped right to Module 2 how how much fun we had in module 1. Tell them down in the comment section. I'm sure they will see it. Anyway, let us get to module 2. And module 2, I'm going now to take you through the 3-step framework that after going through, after searching, after considering all the ways that I have seen my business working, after talking to so many of my friends, these 3 things stood up. And when these 3 things stood up, then I formed them into a system. I put them together and formed a system, a 3-step formula, a 3-step action plan. So let's get into it. 3 steps path to becoming an environmental expert, and I'm sure this is what you have been waiting for. So my 3-part framework of building a successful environmental consultancy career or an EIA expert career is this. Number 1, clarify. This is the phase of clarifying things. You have to go through this phase called clarify. You have to go through a phase of clarifying. Once you're good and you have clarified stuff, then you go to the next phase called build. The phase of build is where you actually build. And most of us are stuck here. Most of us still have some work to do. Most of us have some building to do. Once you have clarity, you have built, then you move on to the 3rd phase that is called attract. Attract. And once we are done with this framework, you might feel like this goes against what everybody in business says. Everybody says just start, right? But this model is a bit different because just start. What is just start? It works in some industries, but I promise you, and I did that mistake in the beginning, and I have had to relaunch myself all over again with this model, and it has worked for me. So it might sound contrary to what everybody else tells you, but let me tell you, do not follow the crowd. If the crowd, everybody is moving in this direction, probably the direction that you need to move into is this one. So let's get into it. The first one is clarify. This is the first phase. And this is where you are getting clear of your path so that you can stop guessing. This is what we have done in module 1 is part of this. We have been clarifying where this service comes from. We have been clarifying, understanding what we are doing, where does it come from, what backs it up, the history of it. So clarity is where most people fail. Why? Because you must define the path that you're following. You must have an understanding of what you're doing. For example, the NEMA, we have said, particularly, you want to do environmental impact assessment. We talked about several parties or stakeholders. There is you, there is NEMA, there is the developer, right? And there is the permits and the licenses. How then will you be able to serve your clients if you do not know, one, who your client is? You do not know the NEMA processes. The law says that the authority or its designated agent. How do you want to become the designated agent of NEMA if you do not understand what NEMA does? You do not understand the licenses. You even do not understand yourself. How then are you going to build a career out of this? So you have to have an understanding of things. We have done a phase where we have been understanding the industry. Understand your space. Understand your place. So if you understand the space, the industry, then what is your specific position that you're going to start? Where do I start? It's a common question. I showed you the kind of questions that I get. How do I get clients? Where do I start? You need clarity on all those things. And that is the first phase. And most graduates are trying to do everything environment. And that is where they are going wrong. Because today you are marketing carbon services, carbon market services. Tomorrow you are marketing ESG services. The other day you are doing sustainability. The other day you are an EIA expert. So what are you exactly? We say the industry is super big. What exactly are you? You're talking about deforestation and tree planting today as an expert, not just for education basis. You even have a service you're offering. The other day you are into waste management. What exactly are you? The other day you're into sustainability and business. Who are you? So you need to start somewhere. I understand the principle of being the jack of it all. I fully and totally understand. But trust you me, you have to start somewhere. If you're in this training, I advise that you start out as an environmental impact assessment expert. Become an expert. Not the name that your certificate gives you, but actually be an expert with the wisdom and the knowledge that you have that you help your client with. Then you can diversify to carbon markets. You can diversify to sustainability, to whatever. Then you can be the jack of all trades, but start somewhere. Your job is to find your lane. And how do you find this particular lane of a thing that you want to do? How? How? I am happy to say that one of the ways that you find your lane is what you're doing currently. Looking for mentorship, looking for information from people who are already in that industry. But there is this thing, the sweet spot. I'm sure you have seen those circles, those 3 circles that are usually interlinked. And one of the big circle is passion. What are you passionate about? So, as an environmental expert, a major part of your job will be to sit down on your desk and write reports. Are you a person who can sit and do reports? Or you sit, can you even type? Can you type? Can you type? What is your typing speed? I am waiting to hear. So that if you are to do a report, how long will it take you? Because if you are the person who types with one letter at a time, when will you ever complete a report? But do you know typing lessons and classes are all over free online on YouTube? Are you passionate about, do you love traveling? Because EIA, you will travel. Why? Because you have to go to the project sites. So today you are in one country, the other day you're in the other country. When you get to the international level. Today you're in this town, tomorrow you're in the other town. And of course you're traveling to interior places, to some very hostile places, to places you've never been in. Are you ready? Are you passionate about traveling? Is it something that you would want to do? Okay, what are you passionate about? Do you love wastes? Personally, I do not necessarily enjoy the waste industry. And I know it is a multi-million-dollar industry, I mean. And I would help when I need to help, because one of my principles again is service to humanity. So if I need to serve, I'll serve. But it is not something that gets me naturally to eat. But how about mining? Oh my goodness. I love the mining industry. Why? I don't know. I just like it. I flow with it. I enjoy. So every time I find myself looking and reading and following up on news about the mining industry, you get. So what is your passion? The other thing that you need to do is the skill that you already have learned. was talking about typing earlier on. Can you type? Can you speak? Because one of the things that you need to do with EIs is public participation, talking to people. Can you speak? Are you charismatic? Are you do you have emotional intelligence? Can you be able to calm people down when they go haywire? What skills do you have? Demand. Where is the world going? Where is the world going? What are people asking for? What are companies asking for? What are individuals asking for? What is the market demanding? What is NEMA demanding? If you're able to answer those questions, then you find a spot where you fit. So you are able actually to figure yourself out. So you understand the market, you understand yourself. So you know where to see. It's like when you walk into a party or church. If you go to church, assuming you go to church, everybody is seated. Assuming your library, everybody is seated. And then you're going to walk. And there is a position, empty seats. So from where you're coming in, you can be able to see the entire church. You can be able to see places that have empty seats. Then you choose where you want to go and sit. So if you're confident enough, you might choose to walk all the way to the front. You might choose to go and sit on the side. You might choose to sit at the back. So it's the same thing for you here. The analogy is the same. You understand the entire industry, what NEMA wants, what clients wants, then what you like, what you're passionate about, what you're skilled in, and then go and fit yourself in that position that is open. That is what clarity is about. And it is hard work. It is not easy. I promise it is going to be hard work. It requires a lot of going inside yourself to know you, to understand you. But that is what consultants do. You cannot be advising other people's businesses worth of millions if you cannot even study yourself. How are you going to study somebody's business if you cannot study yourself? So today, if you could only consult on one type of projects, what industry would you pick for the next 6 months? Assuming you had all the skill and the knowledge of doing EIAs, what industry would you pick and why? Tell me down in the comment section. And then we go to the next phase. The next phase, why I'm not fully going into the first phase of clarity, is because mainly what you can be able to do is you can do it yourself by going inside, meditating on yourself, taking the journal, going back to your childhood, understanding who you are. Personal development has to be part of this. Then you have to understand the industry. The best way to understand the industry right now, we have, go to NEMA website, read the resources that are there. Look at what is being published. Look at the national goals. Look at the Miriam goals. Look at where is Kenya moving? Where is South Africa going towards? Understand where globally the nation or the world is moving in terms of environment. I have given you a small section on where environmental impact assessment is coming from, the services, where they come from, where they are rooted from. So I have given you some understanding and some clarity that this is not a service that is going away tomorrow. It has been here. It is backed up by conventions and so on. So that part, you can either do it yourself through a lot of hard work that you do on yourself. Also, you can also probably find a mentor who can help you. Maybe you can call me, book a section, 1 hour, 1,000. We talk, you ask me questions and so on. So that part you have to do it yourself. You know best how to do it yourself. If you don't know, look for a mentor, look for a coach and so on. But part 2, we can go a bit deeper. Part 2 is where you're supposed to build. And by the time you're getting to the building phase, I believe you have already decided that actually I want to do this EIA thing. So Here you have to build your technical and professional competencies. After you did the clarity part, you have now finally understood everything. And you have even realized parts that you're missing in. I do not have this skill. I need to work on this skill. I need to build on this technical aspect. I need to build on this professional part of my business. Maybe you don't have a portfolio. Maybe you don't even have a CV or a resume. You do not know how to conduct a public participation meeting. You don't know how to conduct a meeting. That is a technical aspect or a professional aspect that you need to work on. You don't know how to talk or speak. You don't know how to type. So here in this phase, we are moving from the theory and imagination and that, and now we are coming into actual practical world consulting services. That is the goal of this phase. So build your competencies. And one of the core questions that you need to ask yourself here is, what do I need to know and be able to do? So the first part of the question, what you need to know, you have answered part of it in the first phase. What do I need to be able to do? This is where you gain the actual tools to work in your field. And building your competencies requires you to focus on some areas, some of them that you have identified that are personal, but technically or professionally, you need to know how to conduct environmental impact assessments, environmental audits, and other NEMA assessments. Now, why do you need to know how to conduct environmental audits, even if you do not desire to be an auditor? Because you will need to understand the whole NEMA aspect to be able to advise your clients well. How to write professional reports and how to interpret regulations. You have to understand there is a regulation on e-procurement that we have here in Kenya that is currently a bit new. How does that one affect you as an EIA expert? You need to understand how to interpret and see connections between things. When there is a new regulation on livestock, how does it affect you? You also need to understand the tools of trade. Very, very, very important. Very, very important to know your tools of trade and how to make them and even how to use them. You need to understand the ethics and the professionalism in this industry. You do not want to be caught on the wrong side of this industry. And by the time you're done with this, you should be in a position where you go from, by there I know the theory, by there I know this, to a place where you can actually deliver. And not just delivering, but you can stand out. So, employees and clients, they do not hire degrees. In the very beginning, we talked about some of the things that are making it very hard in this industry. And one of them is a lack of credibility and trust. Some NEMA have been rejecting projects, and so there is all that confusion. So you have to prove that your employee, who is your client, really is going to lose out on business if they do not hire you. And the fastest way to build that ability is to go through a guided practice. That is how I have found it. If I was doing this by myself, I would not have built this far. You need somebody to hold your hand now. It is not a must. You can choose to go through the wrong way. This is my preferred method. Have somebody hold your hand and show you stuff. You do not need to wait for a job. That's a big one. You don't have to wait for when you get a big job. Start by volunteering. Start by collaborating. Or even start by just small projects. Start somehow. Don't wait for a job. Start. Learn the core deliverables. Yep. Term of reference. Do you know if you're doing a high-risk project, you first need to submit a term of reference to be approved by NEMA before you even go ahead and do the EIs? Can you be able to do a term of reference that will be approved by NEMA? Can you be able to submit an environmental and social impact assessment for a medium risk project? Can you be able to conduct and actually do an environmental audit? Not for NEMA only, but for your client. An audit that will benefit your client. How about environmental management plans and policies? Can you sit down and do them for your client? Because as you're doing the EIs, you're telling your client they need to have an environmental management plan for this aspect of their business. Can you develop it for them? Do you even know what it is? So understand the approval process. When a client, if this happens, this is what you do. If you submit a report and it is lacking public participation, what is happening? So you're even advising your clients before. You're telling your client with this kind of projects, it is going to take 90 days, not 28, because you understand the approval processes. These are some of the things that you need to build on. Now, how then do you get to build these things? The first one is by just observing. And there's a huge thing that talks about just observing. Like, ya macho si ya mdomo. That is to say, what is for the eye is not for the mouth. I quote again. What is for the eyes is not for the mouth. So what you can just observe and see, you don't have to use the mouth. I have had a student one time who called me and told me, "Hi Miriam, we connected on LinkedIn." And they told me, after the conversation, she was a lady, the next time you have an EIA project, kindly involve me. Kindly involve me. Do not pay me. I will pay my fare. If there is accommodation, I'll pay for my accommodation. I'll pay for my food. I will actually pay you for taking me to the field work. If you're me, can you say not such an offer? So, as much as I had staff to go with the field, the next time it came, we go with them. You know what they'd want to do? They just want to be there. As I talk to the client, as I talk to the field, the people I meet on field, as I do the assessment of the field, as I do public participation. They do not have to participate, but they will be observing. They cannot speak when public participation is ongoing. They may not know the dynamics, but they can help hand over the questionnaires. They can help they can help pass the microphone from here to there. In the process, they get to learn. Can you go to that level? Are you that desperate to learn? Are you? Are you desperate to learn? The next one, after you have visited, what do you think the next time I will do when I need an site assessment? She has been with me. She has observed. I will call her and be like, "Hey, come with me. I have a site visit." This time, of course, I'll pay because now I need her to assist me because she knows and she has seen. Be like, "Now, can you help me? Can you help the community answer the questionnaires? Can you help me with this documentation? Can you help me with the report writing?" So assist, support a consultant. If you have an understanding of the EIA reports, let clients, most of the time, let me tell you, business people like me, we have a challenge because you want to be out there chasing clients. So you need people down in the office who are helping you out with the report writing, who are helping you with the submission, the documentation, the errands here and there. Can you assist? Execution, handle section of the reports. This is where the biggest problem is that I have faced in the industry. So many of us do not know how to write quality reports. We do not know how to write quality EIA reports from experiences of the people that I've worked with. Ownership. Start now doing reports. The church that you go to wants to do an EIA. You can even volunteer to do it free of charge. Just tell them to facilitate the costs of the project. So your transport, maybe your accommodation, if you need accommodation, your lunch, and then you do it for free. You sign the report, you start taking ownership. If you have a child and they go to a school and the school wants to do a swimming pool, why don't you offer to do it for free? Let them just give you some small monies to cater for your cost. You do it for free. What are you doing? You're building on your portfolio. You're gaining experience. Experience builds confidence. Confidence builds trust. Trust attracts clients. Not just clients, but quality clients. So, some of the services that you can offer when you're starting out, that you need to build technical and professional expertise in. 1, environmental impact assessment. That is the main service that you offer, that I recommend you offer. If you're good, it pays. If you are good, it pays. It is a good deal, I swear. Why do you think I've never gone back since 2020? If you're good with it, it pays. You can also do environmental audits. In fact, when you get registered, you are registered to conduct environmental impact assessment and environmental audits. These two can sustain you. And you know, wow, they are very related. You conduct an environmental impact assessment for a client, they finish, they start operating, they'll need environmental audits. So you upsell them the environmental audit. Other services you can help your clients with is the effluent discharge licenses, emission licenses, waste transport, plastic clearances. We have other permits or short-term licenses that your client will need. So you're getting into the market as the EIA expert. Once you get that client inside, you help them get their first initial approval, which is EIA license. But as they continue with their business, they will need other licenses and permits from NEMA. If you served them very well with the EIA, whom do you think they will contact the time they need their annual audit? So, these are some of the services that you can offer as an EIA expert. And so let's go to environmental impact assessment. I am not getting into depth with this because I understand my audience is coming from different countries and different dynamics apply in different places. So the specific details may differ in countries, but the principle of environmental impact assessment is universal, like we saw in the first module. So here in Kenya particularly, we have the environmental impact assessment categorized into 3. This is where we have 3 levels of environmental impact assessments. We have the summary assessment reports. So this is for, now what NEMA has done, NEMA, which is the regulator, it has classified projects into 3 categories: high risk, medium risk, and low risk. Each category requires a different level of assessment. The assessment, the EIA principles remain, only the level of assessment or the scope. Actually, the scope of the assessment is what will differ. So a low risk project, like a borehole, you don't go deeply into it as compared to a mining project. So a mining project, the scope that you need to assess the impacts from is very wide as compared to a borehole. So those are the 3 categories that NEMA here in Kenya has classified the projects. So you need to understand them. They need to be at your fingertip. As you're speaking to somebody, they describe their project, you know that falls under medium risk, that falls under high risk. Why you need to understand these things is because even how you price your services should differ. There, like we have said, the scope of the assessment is different, right? So for a small borehole, you don't need to call a community baraza if somebody is drilling a borehole. But if they are doing a mining project, you will not just call for one community baraza. You will have several meetings with the community, several meetings with the stakeholders. And so the cost of doing that project will be so much higher as compared to a small one that is a borehole. So you need to have an in-depth understanding of the environmental impact assessment in your country. Now, if you're really, really in need, you could reach out to me for mentorship. 2, get to NEMA website. Get all the information you need. Equip yourself with all the information that you need. Number 3, walk into NEMA offices. Then we have said NEMA is the authority that governs this. Walk in, sit with the officers, let them ask them all the questions that you need. If you're really, really, really serious about this, I dare you to do one of these things. Yes. Then the other services that you have said you can offer is audits. So audits come after a project or a business is already operational. So you're coming to see that the financial auditors come and check your books, the financial books. Now for you as an environmental auditor, you're coming to a facility and you want to audit how the business operations are impacting the environment. So the question is, what is the environment in that context of environmental audit? We have the physical earth or the physical environment, the water, the birds, the trees, the soils, the wastes, and so on. We have human beings. So you are assessing the economic aspect, the social aspect, as well as now the actual environment aspects. Then you produce a report that goes to NEMA. There are 2 types of environmental, actually there are several types of environmental audits, but the ones that you can actually offer is initial environmental audits as well as annual audits. Other licenses, I have mentioned a few of them. You need to have an understanding of this. Why? Let me give you a scenario of, let's say we have a coffee factory. Some community wants to establish a coffee factory. A farmers cooperative wants to establish a coffee factory. They get you to do the environmental impact assessment, right? You do that, they are good. After 12 months of operation, the law requires them to do an initial environmental audit. You do that for them. Those are the main services that you offer, right? But this facility also requires to get the effluent discharge license. Now that you just offer environmental impact assessment and environmental audits as your main services, now that you're an EIA expert, are you telling me you're going to leave this client hanging because you do not have an understanding of how an effluent discharge license is done? Then you are really not a consultant. So you need to get these other services ready, these other license processes ready, because they come as after sales. You can upsell your clients to this. You have a bread, say a bakery. You do an EIA for them. They start operating. They need an environmental audit. Over time, they need these emission licenses. Then they need the plastic clearance licenses. So that person, the business person, are they supposed to go out and look for somebody else to do the plastic clearance license applications for them? Or they'll call you. So if you do not understand these things, how are you going to offer even more value to your expert, to your clients? You need to understand these other services that NEMA works. Remember, you are like an agent of NEMA. So you have to understand everything that NEMA does. Some of you have never visited the NEMA website. They do not even have they do not even have the direction, the manuals, the action plans of NEMA. Then the third phase. Once now you understand all that thing, you have been volunteering from an expert, you have understood that competent part is done. You get to another phase that is very important, and that is attract. You remember I told you in the beginning that I started out at NEMA. What I was doing at NEMA was the first and second phase. At NEMA, I got to understand the industry. Because now I am inside the NEMA, I understand what NEMA does, what the environmental officers do, what is the mandate, what is the role, the financials of NEMA, everything, right? I know when they go for field what they are looking for, when they go to a factory what they are looking for, when they are licensing mining projects what they are looking for, when it's a road, when it is. I was exposed to different experts in how their dynamics or process of doing EIs and everything, right? So I got a clear understanding of the industry. And then I built my services. I built my technical skills. One of them that I got to learn was record keeping. NEMA has a system in which they do their records. They have their SOPs of how they run projects. If a report is received, how is it documented? Because that office is receiving a lot of EI reports. How do they keep systems? How do they keep these reports? How do they keep records? So that is some of the skills that you get to learn. That is not directly, you do not use it to serve the customer, but inside your office or inside your house, when now you're already out here as an expert. If you don't know how to do those things, you don't know how to manage projects, don't know how to get organized, you don't know how to speak. You're going to do a project for a customer, then you lose the invoice. I did lose one. The LPO. You lose the LPO because your documentation was poor. And then how are you going to claim payment when you do not have an LPO? Just because you do not know how to document and file and you get. When I left, I was good in the phase 1 and phase 2. Then I realized I knew nothing about this phase called attract. How do you build visibility, credibility? How do you attract opportunity to yourself? Now that umeiva, when you're expert, you're a perfectly well credible expert. How will people know? The other day I was talking to my friend and we were talking and I was telling her, the problem is you need, here in Kenya we have a town that is called Nakuru, and assuming you're in Nairobi. If you're in Nairobi, how is somebody who is building a 5-story building in a far away town, how will they know that you offer EIA services so that they can call you? Okay, leave alone the person who is in the other town. Your neighbor, in your neighborhood, leave that. The church that you go to. If they need an EIA to drill a borehole for the church, how will they know that you do this? Your uncle, who may be working and has somebody in their office and they are talking all their, on Friday or weekends, they are having their two for the road and they are talking about one of their friend is building and has been, needs NEMA. How will your uncle remember that? Oh, I have a niece or a nephew by there who can help you with this, and so that they can refer you to their friend. How are you visible? Does the world know who you are and what you do? Now that maybe you're an expert, you're credible, you're competent, how do you attract? This is a very important phase, because it is in this phase of building visibility that will help you to attract actual clients to yourself. You need to build visibility and get clients. And here the question that you're going to ask is, how do I get clients or job opportunities? How do I get projects? How do I get seen? How do I get called? Assuming I'm overwhelmed and I need to subcontract experts, how do I know you are the right person that I can come to and you will not fail me? Because I have a big project and the pressure is on. So I do not need to train you. I do not need to you to miss the. How do I know you are the best? So this is where now the technical confidence that you have gained in phase 1 and phase 2 with meets, or now you have to display it out here. And the way to display it is personal branding. And I know this is where most people don't want, and this is where experts do not want. They do not want this face. They do not want this face. Consultants don't get found by chance. They get found by visibility and proof. I have asked you a question. Where you live, somebody in your village, somebody in your town, somebody in the next town who needs an EIA, how will they know that you are an EIA expert and you're competent enough to help them? I have asked you another simple question. If in my business I am overwhelmed and I need somebody to help me write the reports of several projects, how will I know you are good enough that I get to call you? Hi, I need help. Can you help me out? If you can answer that question, the day you're able to answer that question is the day that you actually know you have become an EIA expert fully. Create a simple credibility system. Now, when I start talking about LinkedIn, people will run away. They don't want to hear this part. A polished LinkedIn profile and portfolio is a must today. We are living in a digital era. How will I find you if you do not tell the world what you offer? And when I say LinkedIn profile, I mean all social media platforms. If you're good with Instagram, then be on Instagram and tell us that this is what you do. If you're good with Facebook or you enjoy Facebook, go there and do that. If it's TikTok, then tell us that. Now go and watch me. I think Instagram, I have like 100 followers. I have not paid attention to that part because factors I had to consider before I choose the platform to be active on. So, how do we know you? We want to know you on social media. These days, you cannot be offline. You can't be off. You cannot afford to be offline. Share what you're learning in posts. If I go to your LinkedIn profile today, in fact, send me your LinkedIn profile down in the comment section. Put a link so that we can start visiting. If you're learning, go to your fellow learner and see their LinkedIn, what they have been doing. When's the last time you posted? When is the last time you posted? Post a small article. On LinkedIn, you can do an article. You can do a long format post on Instagram, on Facebook. Do something. Join a local network. Whatever it is, join something. Now, the fourth one. Assuming you are a bit advanced, then now you're already participating in projects. So like, for example, you work in one of my projects. You have been in this project from the beginning to the end. I called you. Hi, I have an upcoming project and I want you to be involved in it. Okay? So you went to the field, you prepared questionnaires, you prepared the report, you did everything. You were active in this project. When it comes to to signing of the participants who helped or participated in preparing of that report, make sure your name is there. This is a mistake I see people doing a lot of time. As long as you're legally licensed, certified, sign those reports. Because most of us as associates, we start by working for lead experts. And sometimes we are misused. You do all the report. But at least, even if they don't get to pay you well, even if they do not give you full exposure, at least bargain that you sign part of the report on the certification page. Sign, get an acknowledgement in the report. You know why? Because now you're starting to get a portfolio. You're owning up these projects because you participated as an. It will remain. This is a document. This is a document that will stay alive as long as that project is done. So if you helped me in a mining project and you signed, it means that document, the EIA report, stays alive until that mining is decommissioned. Make sure your name is there. Bargain for it. When you're signing contracts, try as much as you can. Fight that your name is on the document. That document goes to NEMA. NEMA at least will see your name. The client will see your name there. Fight to have your name in the report. So how do you get seen? First thing that you can do is to show us proof that first of all you are alive. Second, that you are an expert in something. You become an expert if you do phase 1 and phase 2. Show us results. Tell us about the project that you have just finished. Like, show us results, pictures, project roles. Yes, tell us. Show us pictures of you talking to the community. Show us pictures of you wearing the vest of EcoDid out in the field work. Show us. We want to see you. How do you show proof? Sign. Then the second one is presence. Be active online and in professional settings. Even if it is in the church, in the youth choir, let them know that you do EIAs. Even if they may never get you a client, let them know. Be active online. It is not possible that you're claiming to be a consultant and the last time you posted on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or wherever was 6 months ago. So, consultant, we come to you to consult. We come to seek knowledge from you. How? When the last time you told us something for free was 6 months. Are you that selfish? So then how can we trust you if you can't give us stuff frequently on free basis? Can you trust me to be somebody who understands my industry and my job and who fully knows what they are doing if I can't even give you this information and this training for free? Give us some proven presence. Then you have to position yourself. In the beginning, we say this industry is wide. Everybody is doing something environmental. So who are you in this industry? Finding your position. An EIA expert for small businesses. An environmental auditor. Pick. You see, I go to LinkedIn and I look at this part where immediately after your profile picture, your name, then there is that part that you talk about yourself. There is everything there. EIA, EA expert, the environment, the health and safety. You are a DOSH certified. You are a PMC, PMS. You are a civil engineer. You are what are you exactly? You're in you're a carbon auditor. You are an ESG stroke. You know those things? Stroke. So that works for me because as a professional, when you say ESG stroke, EIA stroke, mimi nitaelewa, I will understand because I'm a professional in that industry. Your client, do they understand what ESG is? When you do stroke, so many things, stroke, 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 and so that part is full of strokes and things and things and things and things that you are. So how does the client know who you are and what those things mean? And this is somebody who is out of your industry. They do not know your industry. They do not know anything about all those strokes that you have done there. Think about how you position yourself, by the way, seriously. And build relationships. Because a fact is that as you're beginning, especially, referral will be your friend, will be your source of income, source of clients, and so on. So 80% of your clients, and I say again, when you're starting out, you come from referral. The friends, the workmate, the family, all this. Then there's this triangle that you'll experience. The first one is traffic. You have to get traffic. What is traffic? Like, Thika Road has traffic in the evening. There are cars full. The highway is full of cars. In that there is even they are jamming because there are so many of them and they are moving at 20 kilometers per hour. Sometimes they are at standstill. The traffic is high. In the middle of the day, there are 2 or 3 cars that are moving on the highway. Traffic is low. So, as a consultant, you need to make sure that traffic is always high towards you. The number of cars on the highway that are coming to you is high. You should always have them high. Because, say for example, is on my LinkedIn page. I want so many people coming to see me because the higher the number, the higher the possibility that I'll be able to convert some of that traffic. In fact, the conversion rate is very as low sometimes as 5%. Out of 100, you only convert 5. But 5 is so worth and so much. Sometimes the conversion is 2%. Out of 100 people who visited your website, only 2 come in. An example, this free guide or free training will have thousands and thousands and thousands of people who come over time, right? But it is not everybody who will convert to a client for me. But the higher the number of people who are coming to visit your website, to visit your page, the higher the number of potential people that you can convert. The larger the number of people you convert, of course, the economics starts working. So, if the number of conversions is high, chances are, of course, the economics are good because you get to charge. If you have just 10 people visiting your page, you will take so much time before you get conversion, or you convert 1, fine. So the economics depend on that one client. But if I have the same scenario where I have 100 people visiting me and I convert 10, which is, 10, then my economics are dependent on 10 clients. You are dependent on 1 client. Who has the power in the industry? I will have 10 proofs to show on my website, on my LinkedIn profile, on my Facebook, on my portfolio. I have 10 projects that I have worked on. I have helped 10 people. You have 1. So the next time we go to the market again to gain traffic, who is going to get more traffic? Exactly. I thought so too. So this is my strategy, and I have tried as much as I can to make sure that I go by this philosophy. I establish myself as the most trusted advisor my clients will ever have. Like, I am a source they turn to for strategies and advice. That is what I try to do. It is hard, but I try. If you search environmental impact assessments in Kenya, I am almost sure I will show up on the first page of YouTube because I've been doing this for some time. Now, how? I have expressed, or I always try and aim at expressing what my clients should do, what they should not do, how and why my services are best for them, why my company is the best. So how are you going to do that for yourself so that you can be able to attract? So the question is that you're asking me right now, all right, I understand. What do I do now? Now that I'm not visible, now that I don't even know where my LinkedIn profile is. I even forgot if I have a LinkedIn. So then where do I start now? What do I do right now? The first one, I'm going to give you an action plan. The first action that you need to do is to create a professional presence. Optimize your LinkedIn. And when I said LinkedIn, I am talking about your most preferred social media platform. The ones that I recommend, LinkedIn and Facebook. And we shall talk about this maybe in a future training, because Facebook, most of us who are young despise Facebook. But another training, I will tell you why Facebook is a gold mine. So optimize your social media profile, add your title, and remove those stroke. Remove them and just tell your clients what you do. Okay? Then write a 3-line bio. That is why I'm saying remove all those things. Your clients don't understand those things. Add a professional headshot. How is the picture on your social media profile? Do you look like a consultant? Like I said, leave me your link and send me a link before you change so that I can see. I want to have fun. Some of those pictures that you have put, even if I am the one who is looking for a consultant, I cannot hire you. They look scary. Change that. List the project that you have participated in, whether you volunteered or you interned. This is where I told you, make sure fight so that you can be recognized. At least you have some evidence. They say evidence hapa, evidence for karatasi, like have some evidence or proof of projects you've participated in and note them down. Why is this important? People can't hire you if they can't find you. Period. Action number 2, build a simple project portfolio. It doesn't have to be fancy. You can even do it like a CV, like though you do a CV. Make it a 1-page. Please do that. Take a screenshot of that. Why is this important? A portfolio turns the theory into proof. Because once, like for example, if I'm hiring a contractor, I want to see some of the projects that you have worked in. You know why this is important? Assuming I'm hiring I am subcontracting somebody, or I'm hiring a contractor, you on a contract base for a mining project. I need help with a mining project. In your portfolio, you have only done small projects. Then in my mind, I can be able to calculate how much training I will need to do. If you have done a church, a borehole, a school, and I want to hire you to do a titanium mining project, I know I'll have to do some work. But if I'm hiring you to help me with the building, then I know you are quite vast in that project. If it's a water project, a dam, and you have been doing boreholes, irrigation, and so on, then I know you have some understanding in that industry or in that line. So you have to have portfolios for purposes of proving yourself. Action number 3, you have to be visible where opportunities exist. If your clients, after you do your research, you know they are not on TikTok, you have no business marketing EIA services on TikTok if that is not where opportunities are. If opportunities are on LinkedIn, go there. You have to be visible. Join NEMA, EIA, ESG, EIK, WhatsApp, LinkedIn, Facebook. Join platforms. that will help you, of course, depending on what you are targeting. Attend barazas. The county government is calling for public participation on this, on the other thing. The church is calling, the forums are calling out. Go to those projects. Take pictures. Post them. You're posting them strategically. You're not an influencer. You're posting them strategically to show credibility and proof. You have to show us evidence of competence. Comment on posts by established consultants, contractors, and government agencies. Say something valuable under a post of somebody that you look up to. A possible clients that you're targeting, post on their behalf. These are things that you will not negotiate about. You have to do them. If you don't do them now, later you will do them. And why does this matter? You want your name to appear everywhere environmental discussions are happening. As I record this video, there's a story on Lake Naivasha that was featured on Citizen TV here in Kenya. Have you posted something? As I speak, I have not, but I'm preparing a video on that. Your name has to be associated with issues you are trying to market. Action number 4. I will keep saying about proof. You have to publish content that show and prove that you are actually credible. 2 or 3 times a week. You can't be posting once a month. You cannot be posting one time a month. In fact, 2 to 3 times a week is quite a stretch. Even once a week is bad. You need to be a bit more, especially if you're starting out that nobody knows you. Nobody knows you and they need to know you. So share post about what you have learned, what you have observed. Like I'm talking about the story that was featured on Citizen TV on Lake Naivasha. Share some posts, share what you think. 3 lessons I have learned after attending my first EIA site visit. Why segregation should start at house levels. Recently, there was a regulation and debates on the waste regulation, the new waste bills. Have you commented something about it? How county governments are enforcing compliance? Say something. Use visuals, use data, use local stories. Add a close line. Like, for example, if your organization needs help with this, let's talk. Behind or after the story, hapo chini weka that thing. And why does this matter? Clients hire consultants they see consistently showing up. There's this thing of you have to be on top of the mind of your client. Anytime they think about NEMA or EIA, they know it is you. What kind of content should you post? Because that is the question that you do not know what to do. You need to post content that helps your client see where they are and understand where they want to go or where they desire to be at. So content that shows that gap. You are here, the desired place is B. So content that talks about that gap, so content that widens the gap, content that proves your services can close the gap. If the gap isn't wide enough, you won't create enough awareness and urgency for your services. Your followers can see how your services fit in their business, their finances, their life, and so on. You have to show them. Talk about the problem they are facing, agitate, explore deeper, widen that problem, and then show them how to solve it. What content? What and why content? These ones widens the gap. What is it you need? What is it that you need to do? Why do you need to do this? Why does NEMA do this? Such content. Content on mistakes. Here is what you're doing wrong. Here is why you're not seeing results. Myths and misconception, bust them. Here is what other experts are saying. Here why it is true. This is why you should do this instead. Show why something is a myth. Now, content mistakes that most of us me included in the past have done, is posting content that is not linked to what you sell. You are an AI expert and you're posting a video about your page is full of the last party you attended. Your page is full of Rihanna, Beyonce, Bien, Choreograph Jones, the recent movie. All those things that you repost, you're always reposting content from other people. There is that thing also. So hakuna content yako, you do not have personal content that you have actually sat and typed and published. You're always posting links to somebody else's page. We want to hear you. Too much of how versus content that widens the gap. We're just talking about how. And you're not mixing. There's not a blend in of all or a mix of everyone. Now, content that focuses on short-term engagement. The content game is a long-term game for you. You need to play the long-term game. Content that does not even prime your buyers. So you're not even talking about a problem that your buyer will face next year. Now, right now, there is that motion that I told you somewhere in the past that is in the public participation phase. A bill. That bill will really turn around the industry. Immediately I have an idea, or immediately I know that bill is almost going to take off. What kind of content do you think I'm going to start posting? Content that talks about that bill, why that bill is good, why it is bad, what it will change. Priming my buyers. Environmental consulting is a relationship-driven industry. People will hire people they trust, they know they trust, not the resume. Action number 5. Pitch yourself. The name is strategically. I get people who talk about, and I think I am to address this in one of the posts that are coming up. People reach out to me and tell me, hey, I did this course. I have been struggling for the last 3 years. I want you to give me a job so that I can gain experience. You read the whole email, then you wonder, Mimi as a business person, how will I benefit from giving you a job? You're not telling me how I'm going to benefit by giving you a job. Strategy. Consistency beats luck. The more people you approach, the more opportunities you uncover. Remember the power triangle? Traffic, conversion, and economics. Give people something to work with. Period. Stop being mysterious. It is not enough to just master these 3 phases or these 3 steps. Each step is a superpower and it is necessary for your business. But the 3 wheels are like unstoppable when they start running. When you build these 3 and the journey does not stop. You go through the first phase, you build, you attract. When you start serving customers and you're growing, you realize, whoa, there are things I still need clarity on. You get clarity on that thing. You start building what is required. You attract. That cycle never stops. Right now where I am, with all the years of experience in EIAs, right now there are things that I'm getting clarity on. Once I have clarity, there are things I'm getting clarity on. There are things I have clarity on that I'm already building. I am doing courses. I'm talking to mentors. I'm reaching out. This cycle never ends. Hi, welcome back. In the beginning, I gave you a disclaimer where I told you this training might be longer than the usual trainings you see everywhere. And so we left it at the middle and I took a break. I am now finishing the training. It's quite late. It's almost the middle of the night. And that is why I'm wearing my glasses, because I am having to use now the artificial lights, and these lights can be quite bright, and I know after this I will really struggle to sleep. So I decided to put on my glasses to filter out some some lights and also feel a bit cute. So let us continue from where we left. We have a small part to finish on the third module and so on. I want you to look at these three wheels as the old traditional three-stone jigsaw. And look at this. This is very interesting. If, for example, you have clarity, you're clear, you have clarity of things, and you are able to attract people, you have attraction, but you lack or you skipped or you're not good with some things in the second phase of building. There are competencies, technical and professional competencies that you do not have. You're going to have no clients. Because those who come will realize you cannot be able to help them. Because yes, you attracted them, you have an idea of what you want to do, but you don't have the capability to help them. So you have no client. But if you're really good in the marketplace and you're able to attract people to you and even ideal customers to you, and you even have the capabilities, the abilities, the competencies to serve them, but you do not have clarity of the industry, of who you are, of things, you're going to have some of the worst clients. And let me tell you, these people will come in, they will see, the clients can see, hujui kitu unataka, you're not aware, you're not yet sure of who you are, of your abilities, of your purpose. You do not, there something is missing, you're still not clear on things. They will definitely probably take advantage of you. So they will pay you in small cash. They will want voluntary services. You're going to have worst clients, and these worst clients are going to refer the worst clients, and you will be in a cycle which you don't know how to get yourself out of until you get clarity on who and what you want to do with your life. Then let's assume you have clarity and you have even the competencies, but you lack in the face or in the framework of attraction. You're going to have very inconsistent customers. And this is where so many of us get stuck at. You already know what you want to become. I want to become an environmental impact assessment expert. I already know how NEMA reports are done. I know how to do an EIA. I know how to do a field work. I know public participation. I know these things. But the question I asked when we are beginning or when you are in the phase of attraction, how will the other person who needs your services know that you exist? Because when they go online and they are trying to search for what is an environmental impact assessment, I show up. The other person shows up. You don't show up. Your uncle, how will they know what you do so that they can refer you to their friend? This is where most of us are. And that is why we have a big problem of inconsistent clients. And we have to deal with this. We are professional. We are technical experts. We have professional or specialized expertise. We now need to have the mindset of business. We need to start embracing the business mindset, the entrepreneurial mindset, so that now we can have a space to embrace things like marketing, things like personal branding, that we can be able to start attracting people when we go to the marketplace. This attraction, if you look at this wheel, it is the biggest, because this is where the keys are lying. And it is where most of us who are trained scientists fail. We are not trained in the business world. We are not trained to put ourselves out there. This requires a whole course. Maybe I'll be able to address that in the future. But if you're interested in just particularly attraction, reach me out. But you need to know and have a strategy to put yourself outside there. Now, if there's one other thing that you must have, is the right mindset. You must have the right mindset. You must have the very right mindset. And that is what I'm saying. You have to have a mindset where you know it is not just about knowing how to do EIAs that is going to get you customers. You need to put yourself out there for people to see you. You have to have a mindset shift. Having the right mindset will help you in a great deal. If your mindset is messed up, then your life is messed up. Period. And there are several common mistakes that I see people doing, especially when they are in somewhere in between these phases. You're waiting for a job, like we said in the beginning. You hope that customers will come knocking. The government will give you a job. You copy other people's reports without even understanding the logic behind the report, and you don't even care to educate yourself. You do not network with anybody. You do not invest in mentorship. And then the difference between those who succeed and those who quit early on is who they choose to learn from. So as you go through these 3 phases, these are some of the mistakes that you need to avoid. Now, you also need to understand that I also started from 0 with no experience. If you want to become an industry icon, nothing, and I mean nothing, is stopping you from starting where you are. Offer free consultancies. Do assessments for free for small projects. I told you about the church. Offer to do an environmental audit for the church. Offer to do an environmental audit for the school where your child goes to for free. The next time you go, you hear there's a baraza in your area, go and ask questions. Nothing, and I mean it, nothing can stop you from becoming what you want to become. Only you have the ability to stop yourself. And this is the cycle that I want you to achieve. I want you to achieve this cycle so that you can actually enjoy being an environmental consultant. You market your services, you get traffic. When traffic comes, people are curious and want to know, you're able to convert some of them into becoming clients. You serve them. If you're selling EIA, you do the EIAs for them. And then you resell them or even get referrals from them. Once you finish an EIA, after some time, you do an audit for them. You become their annual environmental auditors. Then they refer you to their friends, their colleagues, to their relatives. And then this repeats itself. You keep marketing, you keep getting traffic, you keep converting clients, you serve them, you get referrals, you sell them, then you repeat, and then you repeat, and then you repeat. That is what business is. That is how you're going to grow as a consultant. And this is what I wish you can achieve. This is what I want you to achieve. That is my framework. And the truth is, I am a student of my framework. I follow this to the key. The only reason I found this whole idea to sort of figure this out is because I was going through this cycle again and again and again and again over small issues. The first thing you discover something, you want clarity on it, then you go and build. Once you understand it, once you understand what is happening, you build the skills. Once you understand the skills, you start attracting people or start attracting opportunities to yourself. You realize you don't know how to type. And you realize you have some clarity. You understand that, wow, I need to increase my typing speed. Then you get to the building phase and realize, oh, wow, there are courses on how to type. There are programs, there are softwares to practice and so on. And then now you get into the attraction phase. You start looking for opportunities. Hi, Miriam, I can type very fast. Can I do these blogs for you? Can I do, anything? Weight loss. You realize, whoa, I've gained some kgs. How can I reduce? When you ask how, you're seeking clarity. You realize you can do some intermittent fasting When you start practicing, you are now building, because it takes discipline, it takes hard work to build anything. After that, you start attracting the dating kind of people. You start attracting the kind of people that you have always desired to date. You start attracting all the beautiful fashion styles that you have always wanted to wear. Almost everything follows these principles. You discover it, you debuild it, and then you get the desired results. So, no matter where you are, whether you are a student, aspiring expert, new rookie expert, or a practicing expert, that this system works for everybody. It is still working for me in my level. So you do not have an excuse. And I want you to understand that you don't know what you don't know. So you could be forgiven because you didn't know, but now you know. What is your excuse right now? Now that you know. It's not your fault then, but after this, it is your fault because you have gotten clarity on something. Something has been opened to you. Whatever you do with this information now, it is your fault. Before, it was not. You only see the tip of the iceberg from the outside. Sometimes you cannot even reverse engineer this if you don't see the whole picture. So from outside, it looks... From outside, from when you did not have information, you're like, if only I knew how to do EIs. It is until you dive in and realize how massive of work you need to do. It is until you dive in that you realize how much of opportunity there is. But from outside, you just see the iceberg, the tip, and realize that is all. So I am probably motivating you, encouraging you to jump in early on, because there's a whole iceberg below the water level. And this is why you're not seeing success, because you're on the outside. The reason you are not seeing success before this training is because you did not know what you did not know. It was not your fault. But right now, after this, hey, it is all on you. That doesn't sound funny, does it? So I'm going to take you very fast through Module 3. And Module 3 is just about the common mistakes and how you win them. Some of the things that you might be doing wrong and how you can overcome them. This one is a quick one because we definitely understand this. So how can you avoid these traps that has been trapping 80% of the graduates? We say like 20% are the people who get into the work environment, the people who graduate with environmental related degrees. So 80% are left hanging. So many of them are hanging forever because of some of these mistakes. So mistake number 1, you treating consultancy like employment. You see, the thing is, if you're consulting, if you're not employed by somebody and you want to do this by yourself, you're not an employee. Well, you might be an employee of your own service. But listen to me. You're actually a business person. If you're not employed by anybody and you're trying to do EIs, whether you have a company, whether you have registered a business name, whether you have a farm, as long as you're privately and independently and hoping to do this by yourself, you are a business person and you need to embrace the entrepreneurial mindset. Waiting to be hired instead of starting to offer the services that you have. You are sending CV instead of building a portfolio. You're asking me to hire you instead of coming to me with a proposal on how you're going to help me in the next project that I have. Because if you're going to partner with me, then you get an opportunity to, like I told you, sign and take ownership of the projects and take proof home of participated in projects. And that is how you build portfolio. But for you keep sending CVs, working free with no structure, Working free is welcome. Working free is highly recommended by me, but have a structure. Why are you working for free? It is not free per se. It is in exchange of something else that is not money. You work with me for free on a project, but you sign as the associate in that project. And because you signed as the associate, then you can use that report in your portfolio. So I did not pay you in money, but you take ownership of that project. You work with me for free. I did not pay you in cash, but you get an opportunity to write, to develop the environmental impact assessment report. So you gain experience. So that is working for free, but you have a structure because you have a goal, you have a mission. How do you fix this? Start calling yourself a consultant right away. You're not a job seeker. In fact, you're a business person, you're an entrepreneur. That's your new title. And start offering what you know. Like I said, offer yourself. The other day I was having a student of mine, and I'm like, right now, currently, I am really, really getting the content creation wheel up and going. I am really, I would need help with content management. How beautiful would it be to get somebody who is a trained environmentalist, but is also very interested or have a lot of knowledge on content creation and management? Because it's just a matter of time before now. It is very easy to tell somebody that has been managing my LinkedIn, managing my YouTube, to be like, hey, I have a weekend here. Why don't we go together? Maybe you can even take pictures, record a short video. In the process of you recording video of me talking to the public, or recording me in the process of field assessment, you get to learn about the EIA. I mean, you are not waiting for NEMA to employ you. The truth is the government is not employing, and even if they employ, probably it will not be you. It cannot be all of us. You are stepping into a place where you need to step into a place where you start solving problems. That mindset shift alone will change your career path. Mistake number 2, ignoring documentation and compliances. This is a big one. Like I have just finished saying, take ownership. Document your processes. Document your experience. Document your proof. If you go with me for field assessment, make sure there is a clear picture that captured you alongside me, with the community or the background or the client behind us. Make sure somebody captures us talking to the client. You know why? Then you can post it. Tag me, of course, if you do that. But you are starting to document evidence of your expertise. I think I need to stop emphasizing on this. I have already done it so much, right? You have to document. Stop ignoring documentation. Again, you need compliances. I do not understand how you graduated in 2017. I don't understand how you graduated in 2021, 2020, 2022, 23, 24. That is last year. And you have not registered yourself as an environmental expert. Please convince me why. I think the only reason you tell me, I don't even know if I will take it, is the fact that you did not have clarity on that, but now you have clarity and you're going to do it tomorrow and probably send me evidence that you did the registration. What is stopping you? Here in Kenya, I get people who graduated many, many years ago and it was still free to register. When I did register, it was free. Right now, you pay, I don't know, 3,000, 5,000 or something. Keep delaying. The new law the new bill that is heading to Parliament will charge you 10,000. I registered free. You register 10,000. Anyway, let us continue. Your compliance levels are very, very low. And remember, I said you have to serve as an associate for the 8 years. Already you have wasted 5 years since you graduated. You could be in your 5th year of practice. Anyway, now you know. Now you know. Your credibility grows with every complete and compliant report that you take, that you sign, that you document. It's proof of professionalism. I can't emphasize that anymore. Mistake number 3, underpricing your work. Of course, I have been a victim of this mistake for such a long time. I thank God for my mentor and my lead expert, because every time, including now, I get some projects are quite big, and so I am a student. So I still work with my lead expert very, very closely. And sometimes I get a project and I'm like, wow, I have a figure in mind, approximated cost, and then I send them and I'm like, hey, how much would you charge for this project? Always, including now. The figure that I had in mind, they always have a higher price than mine. The price that I feel comfortable charging and I feel good charging. My lead expert, who is so much more experienced in bigger projects, will always charge higher than me. Even now. So that is a problem that cuts across. One report that a new person or a new expert will charge 50,000. I will easily charge 100,000 right now. My lead will charge 120. So, undercharging your work is a big one. You underquoting just to get the job. Because 1, you're not confident in yourself. And 2, you're operating from a scarce mindset. Reason being, when this one customer comes in and you say no, or you give them a quotation and they feel like it's high and they bargain, you fear they'll go to the next person. Why? Because that face of that wheel part of attraction is not bringing in many people. So if you lose this one, you might take another 2 months before you get another one and you're scared. So you better take this more money and start building a portfolio of poor clients instead of working on the basics. So this is a simple formula. I always get asked, how do I charge? How do I charge? Here's my recommendation. Do an approximation of the cost. First of all, there are clients who reach out. They're not clients, but they are people who reach out and will be like, hey, I have a project. I am trying to do a 7-story building in a certain place. How much will you charge me? So you don't rush in as the consultant to just give a figure. You first understand the project. You understand the project so that you know. I said in Kenya we have 3 categorization. Is it in the medium risk, low risk, or even high risk? Where is it exactly? It is in Nairobi. Which part of Nairobi? How far is it from the town where you are? You know why you ask all these questions? To understand exactly what the project is, exactly how far it is, the nature of the neighborhood, so that you can be able to budget. You can have an approximated figure of the total costs. So you can estimate transport, lunch. We don't need accommodation. We don't need to hire a vehicle if you not be driving to that place. Do you need an assistant? Do you need a local translator? You might go to a place where you need local translators there. Do you need to involve the security personnel as you go for field works? You must have all these details so that you can have an approximated cost of delivering that service. Will you go by matatu, by train, or by an aeroplane? I am in Nairobi. You get a project in Lake Turkana. You think I'll take the bus to all the way to Turkana? I need to cost in my flight back and forth, my accommodation, my lunch, my assistant, my lead, my sociologists, the entire team that will go with me. Then on top of that, I will factor in VAT. I mean, we have to pay taxes. Then after that, I will add my profits. And remember, my professional fee is in the cost. The profit is for the company. My salary is in the cost. Now, add your profit. 40% profit, 60% profit, 100% profit, 2% profit, 10, 0.5% profit. You figure that out. So that is why a project is not supposed to give you negatives at any particular point. And listen, clients know when you are undercharging them and clients know when you're overcharging them. And let me tell you, it is better to overcharge your client than to undercharge them. You know why? If I overcharge you, it is on me. It is my responsibility to make sure that I deliver, because inside me, I know I overcharged you. If I undercharge you, I will be working for you with some kind of attitude because I feel cheated in one way or the other. And if anything goes wrong, I know I'm risking. So I'll be stretching that I don't go at a loss. If you overcharge your client and they can see you overcharge them, you actually have a bargaining room. So if they bargain and bargain and bargain, you still go back to the average or the gap within the gap of that project. Undercharging, low pricing will attract low respect, especially for projects, for clients who already know the market values. They will wonder why you charge that small money. Maybe you do not know what you're doing. That is why you're charging such small monies. And they will not risk their project because they know you will not be able to deliver. They are in business. They know. You're dealing with business people who have been in business for years. They know these things. When you understand your value, clients will too. Mistake number 4, being invisible. Do I need to say this again? Weak networking and weak visibility. No online presence, no posts, events or associations, missed opportunities and zero recognition. How can you win this, or how can you get yourself out of this? Get out there and be visible. 3x3 visibility rule. It's just for me to create. It's not. I don't think there is such a rule that is universally agreed on. It's just my small rule. 3x3. 3 posts weekly, and at least engage in 3 posts daily in the marketplace. Every day you go to LinkedIn, like 3 videos, comment, like a video, comment on somebody, engage somebody, send a DM. At least 3 engagements. And we remember we talked about, when we are talking about visibility, we talked about being strategic. So just liking will not help. Maybe stop even liking. engage and post at least 3 days. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Whatever day you post, at least post 3. And not post about you attending a baby shower, you going hiking on weekends. I mean 3 posts about you as a consultant, about this business. If you have to post yourself going for a hike, that should be the 4th one and the 5th one. You can do as many as you want, but these 3 must be about the industry you want to serve. You must be talking about that gap that we talked about. The client is at part A and they desire to be at part B. Talk about that, about the industry. 3 posts a week and at least 3 engagements. Now, if you still like BN and you want to comment on his YouTube, that is okay. It can be the 4th one and the 5th one, but the 3 must be engaged posts or engaged engagements that are linked to this industry. Visibility is your new degree. Yes. You already have the environmental degree, the master's, whatever environmental related degree you have, the planning, anything. The other one that you need is visibility. You must be seen, you must be known so that you can be trusted. I hope I will not be given an opportunity to talk about visibility again. You have to update your skills. What you knew, like what I said, what happened in 2020 is not what is happening in 2025. And it will change in 2026 and coming years. We have new climate change regulations that influence our industry. Outdated knowledge and no self-development. Ignoring new environmental regulation, no upskilling in EIs, in auditing, anything. Take at least 1 short course. Subscribe to these lead agencies, I would call them. Do you follow Nema on Twitter? Do you follow KEBS? Do you follow NCA? Do you follow Kengen? What do you do? What do you know? Do you follow the high courts? The environmental court, so that you can see the kind of reports, the kinds of cases that are taken, environmental cases that are taken to court and what judges say. Have you ever thought about such things? Yeah. You need to start learning. The best consultants don't compete, you evolve. Skipping mentorship. Skipping mentorship. Let me tell you, you do not have to get mentored. You don't have to. If you truly believe in yourself, please go ahead. But when we meet on the other side, tell me how many years it took you to figure out a problem that your mentor could just have pointed out from the very beginning. Tell me how long it took. Tell me how much money you left on the table. Did I just tell you right now that even today, sometimes there are projects I have to consult my expert. Me at this level, there are projects that are quite high that I still have to get my lead expert to come in and help me, even with pricing. To come and help me with the protocols of handling such a project. Me, today, right now, at this level, you are starting out and you still think you got it figured out and you got this. I wish you the very best. I genuinely wish you the very best. And I want to see you on the other side. And I would love to hear your story. Mentorship shortens your journey by years. It shortens your pain. It shortens your losses. Learning from somebody who is already approved and avoid rejection mistakes. It is going to help you. It is going to save you a lot. There's a difference between struggling consultants and a successful one. And it isn't luck. It is structure, it is visibility, and it is continuous learning. Trust me. So now you understand why many brilliant environmental graduates, maybe you, have been stuck. Because you lack structure, you lack mentorship, you lack visibility. It's not about potential, because so many of you are way much better than me. It is not potential. You know how to speak better than me. You can write better than me. You can talk to people better than me. You know better. You can sell better than me. In all aspects, you are better than me. Only that you have not taken that step to get into the industry. What you have been lacking is guidance, somebody to hold your hand, somebody to walk with you, somebody to tell you, when we get here, this is how we do it here. Somebody to catapult you. Imagine confidently leading your first EIA project, getting NEMA approvals, and going to NEMA and receiving that license feels so good. Well, these days they are now online, but previously I enjoyed when you go to the NEMA office and you sign, the checking out. You have come to check out a license and you pick out your signature. And you're given the license and you look at it and you're like, oh my goodness, I did this. You put it in an envelope, a NEMA envelope with a logo for NEMA. And then you walk out of that office feeling so good. And then you go to your client. And you're so proud as you present that envelope to them. And you can see the smile on them. And they don't just become your past client, they become your friend. Imagine you doing that. That's what happens when you have a proven system and the right mentorship. You need the right mentorship so that you can skip the so many years that you have already wasted when you do not have the clarity. You have to have a strategy. You have already wasted enough time. It is time to get serious. And that is why I created a program that is very, very new, that I'm calling the EIA Mastery Mentorship Program. If this is you have come to this end, to this part, and I have been talking to you all along, and you have gotten clarity. You have gotten clarity of where you're messing up and what is happening and what you need to do. And the thing that you need to do is to build on your EIA skills. This program is for you. It is a 6-week guided journey that takes you from just a graduate to a consultancy-ready expert. I'm going to give you the exact roadmap, the exact strategy, the exact steps that I follow in my business. You get to work with me one-on-one for 6 weeks under this program. What I mean by 6 weeks, in these 6 weeks, you have assignment deliverables. You have me as your supervisor. You have me as your mentor. You have me demanding accountability. Me demanding you to submit to me that thing that we agreed you'll submit. Unafaa kuwa umeiva. You're supposed to have learned how to produce EIA reports. What to look for when you go for a site visit. In 6 weeks, the next time I have a project, I should send you the details of that project report. and you produce a report for me that is ready to be submitted to NEMA in 6 weeks. Let me tell you why 6 weeks. Because you are an expert in these things. You have the technical expertise. It is fear and lack of confidence that is holding you up. And that is the thing that you're going to get to learn, because you do not know the exact thing to do. You don't know. If you go for a site visit, what do you do? When you meet a customer online, what do you do? When a customer tells you they're interested in your service, how do you get them? Those are the things that we learn in 6 weeks. And then these 6 weeks will proceed for the next 12 months. But now this will be more of an exclusive alumni kind of program, where we have everybody who has gone through the 6 week. Now we form a community and we are able to go through these training and discussions every now and then. So, EIA Mastery Program, we go deeper into each step and process with real project simulations, templates, pricing models, and personal feedback. Like, I give you everything that is of mine. Now, listen. This is where I'm taking you from trained to practicing. You were trained in school, you even attended a short course, but you still do not know how to practice, how to actually produce this. EIA Mastery Program will equip you with the practical skills, tools, and confidences to prepare professional EIA environmental audits, how to win your first clients, and how to build a sustainable practice. I have spoken to so many people, new people who are starting out, that I've been working with and mentoring, and I have gotten to understand it is just a small part that so many people are lacking. And the moment they have that part cracked open, they now get the whole understanding of what they are doing. A small part of, and in most cases, you don't know that you don't know this. If only you would know how to do an EIA, then everything else becomes easy, because you can go to the market and shout and tell people that you're an EIA expert, because you're sure if a customer comes, you will be able to do the EIA for them. This is the only necessary program for any new or any aspiring environmental consultant who wants to go from, I don't have leads, I do not have sales, I do not even have clients coming in, I have not mastered social media, I do not know how to die reports. This is the program for you. This is what you need. You need to future-proof your future. And this is the program that you need. So exactly the things that you get is, every day I get up and I get people asking me, can you mentor me? Do you have an online program? Like, I showed you some of the questions that I get. And in the last couple of years, I have turned them down. I open up myself for mentorship, for a program, for a one-on-one coaching. I get overwhelmed and I close down. Sometimes, I think for the last almost 3 years, I have not done this consistently. I only get to mentor people who are actually very interested and who follow up and show you that those people you'll never be able to ignore. They give you a deal you cannot refuse. So then I'm wondering, I simply don't have time to help every person individually, since I also have a practice to learn. I have clients. I want to grow my business. I want to grow my practice. I am a family woman. I have so many other things to do. I'm a mother. I'm a daughter. I am a sister. I am a person. And I got to a place where I did not even care to launch this program. I have been having it in mind for so long. I'm making it in a position that I'm enjoying, and I'm not relying on selling this information. I do not need to teach this stuff to make an exciting career. These are things that I know that I'm already working on. But I'm willing to take time to help you build your career. Reason being, I have seen the gap. Other than people reaching out, I have experienced the lack in the market, the gap in the market. I try and to find people to hire, to work with, and they are very far away from what I can even. There's people who you can get somebody who you're willing to work with them, you're in need, but they are so far below you don't even know how to uplift them. The time it will take to train that person to do a report to my standard is so much. I better do the job myself. So I know the gap. I have felt it. My lead is always complaining about what universities are producing right now. People who cannot get it. People who cannot produce a bare minimum. His words, not mine. So I have talked to guys who are up here who have lots and lots and lots of work. What they don't have is time to train you to be able to do these reports. They want somebody who already understands and can be able to produce reports. And they lack people. Because again, the time to train you to become good in report writing, in producing EIs, that time they don't have. It is easier for them to just do the reports for themselves. If you knew how to do these reports, imagine, and I'm telling you from the inside, from having struggled, you will not stay home jobless. You can always reach out to me. When I have a report, I forward it to you. Do it, you get your chums. The same as so many other people who subcontract people. You can be a freelancer. You can actually just specify on, I will just do EI reports. Send me details. Send me a checklist with this information and I'll generate a report for you. I have decided to put an end to that thing. And I'm hoping I can be able to train as many people as I can. So that even myself, when I want to hire, I just hire one of the people that have been training through this program. If my lead experts needs people to work with, I know 5 people that I have already trained. And I'm sure if I forward them to him, they will do good. I have other friends who need reports done. I have so many people who, and if I have people that I have trained, I have confidence in what they are able to do, then I can easily refer them to these people. So there is a need in the market, but people are not able, most associates cannot be able to fit or to service that need. And I want you to become one of the few people who service that need. And this program is aimed to do that. That way, everyone who's truly interested in building an exciting career can do it in less than 1 year. So if I train you in this kind of a boot camp for 6 weeks, and I still have you to work with for the rest of the year, imagine by the time 1 year is done, how much you'll be able to do. 6 weeks is the intensive training period. Then after that, now you have access to me for mentorship, for questioning, for so I am solving 2 problems at the same time. Training people so that I can also get my work task. I can be able to refer my friends, people to my friends, people who are capable, and also to be able to help you so that you can also probably employ yourself and so on. Okay, so EIA Mastery program is the mentorship that you have to choose, the best choice that you will ever make as an environmental consultant. And EIA framework is, let me to show you what you're going to do. Say week 1, every EIA begins at some place. I know you learned the processes of EIA in school, but you did. Screening and scooping. The other day, I remember now making a video and I was like, I'd never understood what's the difference between screening and scooping until I started practicing. For me in school, it was just something that you learn so that you can remember them for purposes of exams. Now, in real life, these things happen. These processes of an EIA, they are real. And you go through them and you need to understand them in practical and actual space. So, where does EIA begin? The other one, you talk about the baseline data collection. This is where another space that so many of us are lacking. If you go to a site, what data are you supposed to collect? What information are you supposed to be looking for? What are you assessing when you go to the site? Wow, this one, we go a whole 1 week on this one. Just data collection, a whole 1 week. Impact identification. So that you have collected this information, how do you know what impacts this proposed project will have on the environment? How do you relate these things? Once you relate that, how do you develop an action plan? Environmental management plan. Now, this is where you sit and start thinking. You are developing the report already. Remember, the impacts of a petrol station is totally different from the impacts of mining, from the impacts of a road construction project. How do you know? How do you look at a project? How do you predict? How do you know? Because, whoa, this topic is big. Baseline data collection and this impact identification, mitigation, and monitoring, these are the actual EIA. These are the backbones of an EIA. If you get these ones, then you can call yourself a consultant. And now then you have all that information. How do you write a report? What does every report, every chapter contain? Why? Did you know in a report, in an EIA report, everything, every chapter is related to the other one? But when you copy and paste, do you even understand what is happening? Chapter 1 is supposed to relate to the last chapter. They are building on each other. How do you go around submission? These days, submission processes have changed. We have new, they're calling it NVIS system with NEMA. Everything is done online, able to do that. The other one is because at this particular point, you have learned to do the EIA from the beginning to submitting to NEMA, the business of consulting. How do you price? How do you send quotations? How do you send proposals? How do you do you bid for contracts? How do you serve your clients? What if you have troublesome clients? What do you do? Do you have contracts, legally signed contracts? How do you pitch your projects? Then week 6, we build you a portfolio. Remember, the unique thing about this program is that you get to write and produce an actual EIA. If you are lucky to join this program at a time when I have an actual project ongoing, you participate in that report. It is a practical program. I'm not giving you theory. I know you have all the theory. ChatGPT can give you theory. I am very much aware of that. So, you're building a portfolio because by the end of this report, I expect you to submit to me the EIA that you have finally written. Because in every week, you write part of that report. Every week, you write that report. So by this week, by week 4, you have written an actual report that can go into your portfolio. And you're ready to launch your project. And finally, you have bonus classes. I said the 6 weeks are the actual program time. But of course, we have bonus classes because I said it is not like after 6 weeks, I'm done with you, I'll never mentor you again. we have the whole year to work with me. You have bonus classes. This is where we're talking about the software project management softwares, because as you start doing, how do you remember X nilimlipisha, I charge this client this amount of money, I charge this client amount of money, this one paid a down payment of this. How do you manage this project? How do you organize your workflows? How do you organize your house? Personal branding. Of course, this one I have a big one. This one a big one, because you have to brand yourself. You have to build a personal brand. You have to plan your business. We develop a business plan with you for your project, for whatever you want to do with your life. Now, if you're ready to stop guessing and to start earning as a professional environmental consultant, I would love to mentor you personally in the next EIA mastery cohort. Enrollments are open now. The fee is very, very, very much discounted. Check at this and check at what everybody else, the new big institutions, are charging. So 6-week mastery program. If I was doing it like everybody else, like big institutions, I know you have heard that you need a short course to be trained in EIA and EA before you get registered. There is that story that goes around. How much they charge you? 50, 60, 100. So let's say I was to charge you and I charged you at 50. The value of that would be 50,000 Kenya shillings. One of the bonus that you get when you're in this training is that you have access to my workbook. Like, you have my Bible, you have my checklist. When you go to the site visit, I have a checklist of what I do. I have a template of the EIA reports. I have the field reports, the EIA and environmental audits, the checklist for environmental audits, the ones that I usually actually use. The one that I give you is the same one that you will see me using when I go for site visit. I'm giving my actual tools that I have developed myself with a lot of pain from a lot of mistakes from all the years. I'm showing you how to quote the invoice templates, the quotations. If I was to charge you for all these resources, it would be about 10,000. So if I was just to give you the EIA program, and on top of that, I add you a bonus, which is my workbook, like that folder that has all my tools, that would be about 60,000. And now I'll talk about business planning, because most of us will fail because we do not have a plan. If I was to train you and even give you the templates and sit you down and take you through a business planning session, I would charge you about 5,000. So far, the value of all these would be at 65,000. Okay. Visibility guide. Remember, I told you there's a bonus class on visibility. I'm giving you the content marketing guidelines. I'm giving you the content calendar templates. I'm taking you through the principles. Remember, content creation for consultant is different from content creation for influencers. You're not an influencer. You are a professional. So content for influencing is different from professional content. If I was to do this for you, one session also, I'll charge you 5,000. Just sit with you for a session and then give you these things. Then you can go and figure the rest for yourself. 5,000. So far, that would cost you 70,000. Then, like I said, the boot camp is 6 weeks. Then for the rest of the year, the next 12 months after this, you are still under my mentorship, where we have weekly webinars, monthly webinars, group coaching calls. We start talking to you. You have access to me. You can send me an email and I will respond. You can call me and I'll respond. You can book actually a session with me and I will not charge you if you already went through this program. If this was to happen and you're not part of this mentorship, and it's just free, every session we have with you, I am charging you 1,000 for 90 minutes. Today, if you are not part of this program and you call me and you need mentorship, 90 minutes call, 1,000. Because my time is valuable and the knowledge that I give you is valuable too. So let's say 6 weeks and you call me once a week, that is 6,000, right? The cost plus the bonuses, so far you should have spent about 76,000. After that, because the six weeks are over, let's now say you have you joined my mastermind for the next 12 months. Each month we have a call with you. I check on you, what you're doing. You have a problem, you ask all this. We are building accountability groups. Every month, 1,000 to stay in the mastermind. That is 12,000 in 1 year. So far, you have spent 88,000. This is how much it would cost you before discounting. But all that I am giving you at a very highly discounted price of 10,000. You had me right, 10,000. You know why? It's not because I do not want to charge you 30,000. You know my competitors are charging 50,000. I saw somebody who charged a master class for 10,000. So this training alone, I'm supposed to charge you like 10,000. So this training, I'm supposed to charge you for like 30,000 so that I can be competitive, or 40. And because it is more valuable than most of the courses that you get elsewhere, maybe I should even charge you like 80,000 for this course. But then I know the people that I'm talking to. I know how the economy is. I am not doing this because I want to make money from this. In fact, if this becomes so profitable, I may not be able to give time to my business. So this is a thing, this is a side project. It is how my business, which is Ecodid Consultancy Services, where I'm offering environmental impact assessment and environmental audits services to my clients. How do I, other than just serving my clients and making money, how am I giving back through this program? So if I charged 50,000 on this, then it is making more profit than my business. I might lose focus on my business. And this business is long term, you know. So it is discounted for selfish reasons. So take advantage. Take advantage. Take advantage. Please take advantage of this program. This will not be for a long time. I am putting a lot of my time right now because what happens is that around January, as from December, January, the industry becomes busy. So you can be sure probably next year, beginning of the first half of the year, I may not be able to be available for this. And so the price will definitely go up. You know why? Because I'll not be able to have time to attend to 20 people at the same time. Maybe I'll just have 5. I can only be able to mentor 5 people. So then I increase the price. But right now, because we are heading towards the festive season and most of my work for the year has been done, I have time to guide you. I also know you're preparing for next year. And next year, when the business becomes busy, I also want to have a group of people that I've already trained for myself and for other guys. I know how we struggle, me and my friends, because there's quite a number of jobs that pop up that time and there is not people to help us. So take advantage of this. I am doing this because I have time and ability to be able to talk to you, to be able to serve quite a number of you. So the price is able to distribute among more people. But when my business becomes busy, this price will definitely go high so that I can limit the number of people that I can work with. All this to say that you need to take advantage of this now. The actual value of this project is so much. It is only 10,000. It is only 10,000. You're getting my whole brain, my whole experience. I wish there was such opportunities when I was starting out. Anyway, it is for you to decide. It is for you to decide. Do you want 2022 to continue as it has been? You want to still keep singing. There is no jobs. There is no jobs. We know there is no jobs, and it is us to create jobs. Even if you had already started this, and in the next 3 years you established, you have a business and you need to employ an assistant consultant. In the next another 2 years, you need a team. Are you not the person who is supposed to solve the problem we are having right now of unemployment? Is it not you who is supposed to be creating opportunities for everybody else? This is my way of solving the problem, by teaching people and getting people unstuck where they are stuck. This is my way. The way to handle the problem for you is to get to know this, so that you can, one, create a job for yourself, in future create jobs for other people who are like us. Now, if you want to join, the link is provided. You go to my website, www.ecodid.co.ke. Programs. On the website, there is a part that is on programs. You go and register for this. And when you go, you register, you click the enroll now, you will be taken to the payment page. Do your payments, and once you do your payments, you'll be directed straight to class. So at this point, I hope this training was valuable. I hope you have learned something. I hope it's not hours of me talking and you not getting anything. I hope this was valuable. It's long. My throat is now requesting for some hot lemon water. But I hope your notebook is full. I hope your spirit is excited. I hope you're triggered to take action. And I hope to see you in class. Leave in the comments you have below any inquiries on the course you have. My number is here. My email is here. Reach me out. I am open to helping for a limited period. So use me right now. Use me where I'm available. Use me when I am available. So as I end up this, as I call this to a close, it is past midnight now. I think what I'll say is have a beautiful night. I've enjoyed doing this, and I really, really, really hope to see you in class. So share this with somebody else, let them register, and I will see you in class. Till next time, bye-bye.